Members know how much you're appreciated this holiday season. While you're out Christmas shopping or celebrating with family and friends, join me in shaking the hand of a military member and give a heartfelt thank you each and every chance you get. If you happen to see a military member out enjoying a meal, you might consider quietly paying for their meal as a sign of your gratitude for the sacrifices they make for each of us every day, which allows each of us the freedom to celebrate this holiday season in whatever fashion we choose. Thank you, Specialty Truck and Auto.
Are you ready? Dan Fagan and Glen Biegel are here. They're gonna tear it up, rip it down, and shoot it straight. Fagan and Biegel in the morning on Hot Talk, KOAN. And now, Fagan and Biegel.
You know, that's a festive song, and simultaneously, you ever heard of a simultaneous thing where just as I hear the Christmas music, I look up, and Brian has festive headsets on. They're like red, Christmassy kind of headsets. Oh, no, he's putting the old ones on. It was just one of those moments where you realize it's Christmas time. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Glen Biegel right over there. I'm Dan Fagan. Fagan Biegel in the mornings on KOAN, KVNT, streaming live, danfagan.us, video and audio. And we're, of course, always taking your phone calls, 569-1080. Brian is in the producer role. Why'd you take your festive headsets off?
Well, when the show was starting, I didn't have mine plugged in, and those were the closest ones. So I plugged them in real quick, and then I had time to get mine because I'm so quick.
So you were not intentionally being festive?
Never.
Are you a part of the war on Christmas, Brian?
No, I wouldn't say that. I'd say, Christmas probably just passed me by many years ago.
It did?
Yep.
You don't like Christmas anymore?
I like it just fine.
But what do you mean by it passed you by?
Well, the kids have grown up. There's no one around. All my family's moved out of state. It's not like
not like it used to be.
It's not like any other special day.
I got you. It's just something about this time of year, though. Glenn has 1,000 kids, so you won't.
Actually, I had my second 1,000th kid just a little while ago while you were out.
It'll be what? How many years till you're an empty nester?
Well, now is this the tradition where you kick them out at 18, or this is the new tradition where they hang about until 25 or 30?
Well, you're raising your kids well, so that you're not going to have that problem. But
I try to make it as miserable as possible to stick around home so that they leave voluntarily at 18.
So let's say you pick a random number 20.
So 19 years from now.
So you're just getting started.
Yes.
You're like a 24-year-old dad for all practical purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really have you're going to always have that Christmas.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I would imagine that we will always be visiting or visited.
But then actually no. I think that back then you're going to have 1,000 grandkids.
Yeah.
So you're locked into Christmas, Glenn. I'm sorry if you don't like Christmas. That's gonna be a problem for you.
Yeah, I can take it or leave it.
Yeah, see, I can rejoin at some point.
That's true.
Yeah, Brian, you should come over to my house. Actually, if you're about the right size, you'd fit right in.
What the right
I
size?
gotta enjoy these times while I have them.
What does that mean, the right size?
Well, if he was too small, it wouldn't fit in with the little kids, and if it was too big, it'd be too big. But he's the right size.
So like a Three Bears kind of thing?
Christmas size,
Yeah.
Just merge in with the crowd.
I like the kids' table. That works for me.
All right. That'll be fun.
I don't know what it is. It's just something about this time of year. It's, people are out buzzing and things are happening and there's Christmas parties and there's gift giving and, it's just something about it. It's cold. It's cold this time of year typically. Actually, it isn't. What's the deal with the weather, man? I think I'm about to join that Alice Rogoff cult. I'm already thinking about becoming a climate change cult member.
Oh yeah?
I think so.
Well, can't we say that it is a little warmer than it has been in the past, and that's great? Can we say that or no?
Because people are burning their newspaper.
I mean, I like warm. I'm all for warm. I'm big on warm. I'm happy with warm.
I'll take it a step further. If there's anything I can do as a human being to accelerate global warming, I would do that. If I lived in Miami, I probably wouldn't want to. But being a citizen of the state of Alaska, I think I would like to get in on that effort. Whatever I can
burn
do.
a little oil. Have an oil drum outside your house.
Maybe remember the other cult that we had was the ozone layer is gone, and if you use hairspray,
I just haven't heard that recently.
Well, this is one of many. You know, they all go away eventually. But yeah, because I could use extra hairspray if that helped accelerate the warming.
Probably on other people, but
I'd probably have to you
find someone with hair.
People. You need some extra hairspray.
You know, Obama doesn't want Keystone because it will cause global warming, is what he said on Colbert.
Is that right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's exactly the reason why he said.
Well, you know, history is not kind to these hysterical people. And I don't mean, when I say hysterical, I don't mean funny. But it's just this hysteria that they're just looking for some reason to control everything.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all global warming is, right? It's just,
or self-importance, right?
Yes, I must save the planet.
It makes them more important.
I must
you give them power.
I must get on my Learjet and fly to a fundraiser in Hollywood and save the planet. Me, my pilot, and my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it is. It's all about making me feel. But
it's got to be exciting though, because every day you'd get up. If you think about it, if you would live in their shoes for like a day.
Yeah.
Because you're totally convinced. Scientists have established that the world is going to end, folks. Didn't you get it?
The argument's over, Glenn. There's no more debate.
Argument's over. It's time for you guys to give in. So you get a whole bunch of things. First of all, you're saving people.
Yes.
Secondly, you're making truly stupid people mad.
Yes.
Conservatives.
Right.
Which that gives you great joy.
Right. They hate the earth, conservatives.
Hate the earth.
Yeah.
They hate poor people, of course.
Right.
So, I mean, you get all these benefits, plus you have something to do each and every day. You've got to get up. I've got to go to my classroom, and I'm going to convince all these kids that the world's going to end. You just got to give power to the really good people and take it away from the really bad people, and we'll all be fine.
We all want to be part of something that's bigger than ourselves.
Yes.
And I think that's the attraction to the global warming cult. Nobody wants to think of their lives as, well, I'm going to go through the motions, I'm going to raise my family, I'm going to die, and I don't know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. People want their life to mean something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if they can join a cause like saving the planet, which I think most people would say, if you had a multiple choice question, do you believe the planet should be saved? I would imagine most people would check yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're a part of something greater than you, and you get to have a bad guy, evil conservatives who are shilling big oil.
Mm-hmm.
It's really it frames your life. It makes your life worth living because it means you're going to actually do something with your existence.
Yeah, I think it gives them one more thing too, and that is humanity figured it out. We figured out how. So first of all, we're the problem. That's a huge.
Man's always the problem,
and we're the solution.
Yes,
we fixed it. We can fix this. We just have to change how we live. Stop growing economies from expanding. I mean, there's a number of things that sort of have to fall by the wayside, but hey, it's a cause. It's important work.
The leaders, the Alice Rogoffs, the Al Gores, I mean, people at the high end of global warming cult, if we really knew what they were going to do, if we really knew what they wanted, it would terrify the average person, would it not?
I would imagine, yeah, that if they actually came out and said, like, if you had this honest conversation with them and said, okay, well, you're right, we can curb carbon emissions, but energy will cost twice as much, so that means that, we'll have to go from 2.4 children down to 1.6 children. So everybody has to have a half, every other couple has to have one less child. Okay with you? Oh, absolutely. We got to save the planet.
I think it goes worse than that.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to curb emissions. I think they want to eliminate. I think they want wind and solar.
Not their emissions.
Not their emissions. So they get their jets.
They get their
614, Fagan, Biegel. 614, Fagan, Biegel.
Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
Best Split Firewood can deliver split firewood to your house today. And if you live in Anchorage, delivery is free. Wait, what did I just say? Delivery is free if you live in Anchorage. Wow, that's cool. Okay, back to the commercial. Best split firewood. Call now, 727-5928. That's 727-5928 and get 2 bundles of starter sticks with your order. Hold on, 2 bundles of starter sticks and free delivery in Anchorage? That's way cool. Best Split Firewood will deliver mostly all birch split and ready for your fireplace or wood stove, no matter how much you need. A quarter, half, or full cord. They have the best firewood in the city, and they'll even mix in some spruce if you ask for it. And don't worry if you just need a couple of bundles. Best Split Firewood has them wrapped and ready to go at half of what you would pay anywhere else in the city. Best Split Firewood. Call today for free delivery in Anchorage and 2 bundles of starter sticks. 727-5928. That's 727-5928.
Visit their new location at 2000 East 68th Avenue in Anchorage.
Are you unsure about how to use the health insurance marketplace at healthcare.gov? I was, until I went to a free educational session presented by a United Way navigator. I got questions about the Affordable Care Act answered, learned about options for coverage, how to use the online marketplace, and got assistance with enrollment. Now I'm signed up for the healthcare coverage I need. To hear more about these free sessions, call 211 or 1-800-478-2221.
Being a business owner isn't easy. There's managing people, customers, income, expenses, unexpected issues, growing your brand, and so much more. Ready to be more efficient in everything you do? Then listen to Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Each week, David gives you the inside scoop on the latest business news and trends, along with tools for keeping your business on track. Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. on Hot Talk, KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 a.m. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. KBNT 92.5 FM, 1028.
6:17 in the morning, Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel here on KOAN, KBNT. We're streaming video and audio on danfagan.us. Our number 569-1080. 569-1080. You know, I was thinking this morning. I was driving in. You ever think when you drive, you pray when you drive, don't you? That's your deal in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a little prayer in.
No, I was thinking, you know, there's going to be things that Bill Walker's going to get away with, and I'm not going to make that a big deal. Big headline today: Walker slashes or guts the capital budget, whatever it said.
Yeah.
And you know the media's going to be behind him because he's aligned himself with their buddies. So, and I was thinking, Glenn, you know, if you're a family and you present to your kids the option of, okay, we're gonna fix up the house, we're gonna paint it, we're gonna put in new flooring, put in new windows, or we can go to Hawaii for 2 weeks. Kids are all going to go, let's go to Hawaii.
Right.
But the responsible thing to do is to fix up the house because that's an investment for the future.
Yeah.
Because the kids someday will own the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in their best interest. And instead of going to Hawaii, you go down to the peninsula or something. It's not that big a suffering.
Yeah.
Well, cutting the capital budget is basically like not investing in the future. That's why it's so easy to do, because there's no end. To say you're not going to build a Connecticut bridge or a dam that we won't see for 20 years or 15 years, there's no political skin in that game, right? So he can get away with doing that. That's as easy as anything. The media's not going to call him on that. They don't mind.
Yeah.
They don't like infrastructure.
Well, conservatives are not very well organized, right? I mean, we did not get together and stand outside. Can you imagine, by the way, if the Capitol was here, how many times we would have gone down and protested directly, build this bridge now?
Right.
I mean, we'd have got the bridge built 4 or 5 years ago when we actually had any money.
Right. So, you know, Bill Walker gets credit for basically taking us all to Hawaii instead of going. That's what the media wants. That's what all, you know, basically Hawaii would be the labor unions and operating budgets. Don't touch that. But I'm not going to let that bother me. I'm not going to, you know, I don't care that he gets away.
But you don't think that it's a good idea, though, to cut the capital budget at this point?
Oh, you know, I do.
He cut it down to the bone, basically.
There's absolutely no reason to not build that bridge yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
It would have such a dramatic impact on our economy.
We got to leave that on Parnell, though.
We do. I totally agree with you. And we
yeah.
talked about that. That was one of his major failings.
I totally agree.
He should have built that the second Sarah Palin quit. He said, I'm building this thing now.
Well, what he should have done is when the Senate bipartisan coalition was in there, he just should have laid down the law. Said, look, I'm going to veto everything you've got unless you give me this bridge.
He didn't understand how important.
I don't think he cared about the bridge.
No.
I don't think he believed in the bridge. He didn't even know how much it would cost.
No, he didn't. That's right. When we asked him that,
and he said it was $3 billion.
Yeah.
It's $800 million, so you're only off by a factor of 4. But hey, who's counting?
And you ask a family living in a 3-bedroom apartment who can't even dream of making a mortgage and a down payment for a house, and they're working as hard as they can. Maybe they got college degrees.
Yeah.
It's very important to bridge.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm not going to let myself get all worked up over Walker getting away with this kind of stuff.
Well, if you look at it, by the way, Parnell cut the capital budget, I think, from like $2 billion to $1.2 billion, $700 million last year.
Yeah.
This year's he was estimated at like $220 million.
Yeah,
which is probably the lowest capital budget that I've heard since the crash.
Walker wants to slash another 100.
Yeah, Walker is taking everything out other than what's absolutely required for matching funds from the Fed.
Yeah.
And that basically is what he's left in there.
Right. Well, what are you going to do? 569-1080, 569-1080. That's the number if you'd like to be a part of the broadcast. 569-1080. Let me see if I can get my button going here. My PC is not working, oddly enough. Can you go ahead and hit that, Brian? Because
yeah, it looks like we lost him.
I think I probably hung up on him.
Yeah, Dan called to tell us that the traffic's at a standstill.
Oh, really?
Between like Eagle River and Eklutna. He wasn't sure what was going on because he's stuck, further back. So if anybody knows what's going on the drive in,
captive audience, Dan.
Yeah, give us a call. Let us know what's up.
569-1080. 569-1080. Yeah, it was very slick.
It's currently raining.
Yeah.
On frozen ground.
Yeah.
If I may quote from a movie.
So yeah, if you're coming inbound, give us a report on the traffic and what may be slowing it down. 569-1080. Even if you don't know, we'd love to hear a traffic report wherever you are as you come in for the valley. It was very slick for me. Slick for you driving in?
No, I was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, people are driving 10 miles an hour under the speed limit on a straight road that's flat. Like, well, why?
Yeah.
What do you expect to happen? Like a meteor to come out, a moose to, I guess a moose could come out. That's theoretically possible, but it's usually a little bit annoying to drive like that.
What do you... Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, that's when I tell them they should be on the old Seward Highway. If you're only going to go 45, why be on the highway?
Yeah. Great point. What's the purpose?
Do you think it's legitimate to... How much did he cut on the Connect Arm Bridge specifically?
I think it was $30 million, something like that.
Very small amount.
Maybe $23 million.
You think that's a legitimate... I mean, when Brian and I had the governors out at the Valley, we had the debate out there, and it was pretty clear Bill Walker was not a big fan of the Connect Arm Bridge.
Yeah.
Which
surprises me because you'd figured that the unions would be big.
That wasn't popular with the crowd.
No, it wasn't. You know what? I learned that Bill Walker did not carry a single Valley
district, precinct,
whatever they are.
Yeah.
Not one.
Yeah. Which I'm not surprised at. Although Parnell did not do a good job of running his campaign, so you'd figured that, there would have been pockets of strong Walker supporters. But I think Malott essentially wiped out the possibility because that really is a Republican area. They're not interested in government subsidies. They don't like the battle between the native community and everyone else. They don't like rural versus urban. They just don't like any of it. They don't like any of the platforms of the Democrat Party here in the state of Alaska. So it doesn't surprise me, I suppose.
You say Parnell did not run a good campaign. Really didn't run a campaign.
Yeah.
He started it 3 weeks before the election.
I know. And the funny thing is, as you pointed out, which we know was a shock the first time I heard it, about what a good job he'd done.
Yeah.
And you start thinking about it, and you start thinking, once you strip out, the guard situation, which was essentially unique, in United States history, or really close to that. I guess they had one other instance in the United States history where the general was actually the problem.
Yeah.
So if you sort of say, okay, well, he's trying to fix that, so we're going to work past that. But, once he started telling a story, he had a bit of a story to tell.
Yeah.
And it was compelling.
Well, I remember very clearly Jerry Gallagher, who was running this campaign, called me up, maybe, 5 weeks, 6 weeks before the campaign, to meet me over at Starbucks. And his headquarters is in the same office complex that we broadcast from. And so I went over there and we talked for about an hour. And he said, "Yeah, there's no way we're going to lose this.
Yep.
There's just no way." And they were just, we're good. We're up 18 points, and and they really weren't doing anything.
No, and he was right, by the way. Other than the fact that somebody sacrificed and was humble, and they didn't expect that. So they didn't expect
Hollis French.
That's right. Hollis French did the right thing, and they didn't expect that. They thought for sure these guys are prideful. They'll never get together. There's no chance that they're going to give up one side or the other.
Would you consider that? And let's put you and I's worldview aside. Does French get credit for that, or is he a traitor, or is he someone loyal to his cause?
That's a good question. The Democratic Party, which he is a strong representative of, liked it.
Oh yeah.
Mark Biegel liked it and wanted it.
And he needed it.
So I mean, while it was a very selfless act. And maybe he'll get paid back in the end, and maybe that essentially was the offer. Look, when a slot comes open for Supreme Court, we're going to put you on it, whatever. I don't know. But let's just say that there were no deals cut for the good of the order, for the good of the Democrat Party. Hollis French drops out and allows this ticket to form. It's pretty impressive. I've said it before. It was the most significant act of humility, if not humility, then selflessness. That politically I think I've ever seen. I've never witnessed anything like it.
So traitor, hero?
It depends on what side you're on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's put aside political leanings and just evaluate his decision on let's just say his worldview's right, or let's say there's no.
Well, let's just say that we're people on the left. I think that because he did what Mark Biegel wanted, and Mark Biegel is the true leader of the Democrat Party and still is, and I think he'd be a hero.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess.
The other side of the coin is he really didn't give anything up because he wasn't going to win anyway.
That's right.
Because there's no way. And even when we had French in here, and I invited Malott on a couple of occasions, he would come in. I remember asking French on air about, where's Malott? He's not campaigning anywhere. He's not, and French was diplomatic, but I could sense that he was a little frustrated because Malott didn't do anything as a candidate.
No, I mean, basically, he would go to his people. He would talk to his folks.
Yeah.
He wasn't comfortable, essentially, really talking to anyone else.
There's no way he'd ever come on this show or any conservative talk show.
Well, I don't know that there's no way. Why do you think he wouldn't come on?
Well, because we all invited him over and over and over again.
Well, my guess is he thought he had nothing to gain.
Yeah.
And he had something to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, if he wasn't a candidate for, like, if he was going to get out of politics, I think he would come on.
Oh, yeah. Probably so.
I mean, I think he'd like to call us a couple of names and just see what the look on our faces. I don't know. That's the sense I get, and maybe that's not giving him credit, but I don't know. I mean, when I read his articles and I read his quotes and things, they're just so partisan. They're just so racially biased and based, and us versus them, and I mean, I don't know.
Well, my only experience with him was that debate that we had out in the valley. And,
yeah, I was going to say, that's why he won't come on, Dan.
Well, I mean, all I asked him was...
Oh, yeah.
You got him excited.
I said, do you believe a life inside of a mother's womb our baby inside a mother's womb is a life? And his head exploded.
Yeah.
Literally. Right, Brian?
Yeah, you played it.
I mean, he literally...
Yeah, he got upset.
Yeah, his head absolutely exploded. 569-1080 is our number. We'd love to hear from you on this Tuesday morning, December 16th. Fagan Biegel in the morning, KOAN, KVNT. We're streaming danfagan.us. danfagan.us.
Don't just sit there. Give them a call. 569-1080. Join the conversation. KOAN.
With KOAN News, I'm Chuck White. The state's highest court has upheld the disbarment of a Palmer attorney. And Kendall reports.
Melinda Miles, who ran a private law practice in Palmer and was also known in the dog mushing community, was accused of stealing more than $20,000 from the estate of a client who died choking on food in May 2009. She said he wanted her to have it as a gift, but a justice found a number of problems with how she handled the case. The disbarment goes into effect in 30 days, and she must use that time to close cases or get them transferred to another attorney.
The Anchorage Assembly is slated to take testimony today on a measure to ban commercial marijuana businesses in the city. Voters recently decided to make marijuana legal, but communities still have the option of banning pot businesses. In that case, people would have to grow it themselves and not purchase it from a business. Marijuana advocates say there's big money to be had. The business of cannabis. That's your Hot Talk News update.
Intervals of clouds and sunshine today with a snow shower, high at 33. Then a little snow during the evening, which will accumulate a coating to an inch. Otherwise, it will remain rather cloudy through the night with a low 25. And for tomorrow, partial sunshine, high 28. And a low tomorrow night of 18. Partial sunshine Thursday with a flurry, high 26. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Thanks for listening to this.
Alsco American Linen reminds you that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Feeding America reports that there are nearly 13 million U.S. children living in poverty, and the weak link that represents America's poor knows no ethnic boundaries. Over 40% of food bank recipients are white, 38% are black, and 17% are Latino or Hispanic. Also, there are over 52 million working poor in this country, people who work full-time jobs but can't meet basic expenses. Helping those in need only strengthens the chain of American society. Alsco American Linen says this holiday season, please give wisely, give generously, and give food, clothing, time, or money. Together, we can make the holidays a little more special for everyone. This total broadcasting message is from Alsco American Linen. They've been a leader in the linen supply industry since 1889 and a fixture in Anchorage for more than 20 years. That's Alsco American Linen on West Fireweed in Anchorage.
We all know Christmas shopping can be brutal, but I've learned that the easiest and best answer for gifts to friends and relatives outside is to handle it all with just one phone call. Yep, I send them New Sagaya's Alaska Golden King crab for Christmas, and I never have to worry because New Sagaya sends only the freshest, meatiest jumbo king crab clusters. 5 pounds of Golden King crab delivered by UPS overnight delivery anywhere in the continental United States. And it's packaged by New Sagaya's experts with dry ice and gel ice in a tight styrofoam box. It's guaranteed to arrive fresh and ready to eat any day you specify. The fantastic crab feast, the boxing, the shipping, and the delivery, New Sagaya takes care of all of it for you for just $155. No standing in line, just one phone call, and you can send it to as many places as you wish. So look, if you want to do it the easy way, call New Sagaya's Crab Central, 561-5173. 561-5173. Send them crab for Christmas from New Sagaya.
It's the time of the year that true Alaskans live for. It's ski season. Grab the kids and the skis and head up to Hilltop Ski Area. Now open 3 p.m. on weekdays and 9 a.m. on weekends. Hilltop Ski Area offers great prices on lift tickets and even offers discounts to students, military, and seniors. Don't know how to ski or want to become a shredder? Sign up today for ski and snowboard lessons. Visit us online at hilltopskiarea.org or call 346-1466. Celebrating our 32nd year of operation, Hilltop Ski Area, providing fun for Alaska youth and their families.
When I grow up, I want to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can grow your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Do
Do you remember that Beatles song? If the rain comes, they'll run and hide their heads. You know which one I'm talking about. Well, if that's you and you're inside your home or office, it's time to call Earhart Roofing. Call Earhart Roofing for all your roofing needs. Flat or pitched, large or small, Earhart Roofing will do the job quickly, and they'll do it right. Earhart Roofing, big enough to serve you and still small enough to care. Call 345-5555. That's 345-5555.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call, 569-1080. KOAN.
Welcome back. 6:35 in the morning. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel here on KOAN, KVNT. Broadcasting. Also, we're on danfagan.us. Danfagan.us is where we're streaming live. And we have our app. We have our KOAN app. Go to your app store. App. Is there an app?
Well, I think TuneIn is where you want to go. Go to TuneIn and look for KOAN.
Is that where? But we actually have an app.
Yeah, there is an app, but I think the TuneIn thing works better.
Is that right?
It's a good one.
Better TuneIn. So there's a TuneIn app.
TuneIn is an app, and then in that there will be thousands and thousands of different radio stations.
Please pick ours.
Yeah,
we're one of them.
So what do you type into the TuneIn app?
KOAN, KVNT.
Yeah.
But I thought we actually had a KOAN where
there is,
where it pops up on your thing and you always have it there. You just hit that button and then.
That's there too.
There's commercials on it and things.
Okay. And of course, if you have a radio.
Do people still have those?
I think so.
Who doesn't have a radio?
You can go that route. We'd love to hear from you, by the way, if you're out and about driving in from the valley. And apparently there's some real congestion out there because of the slick road conditions and the rain. Give us a call and give us a report on what it's like where you are. 569-1080. 569-1080. You'd be doing us and your fellow drivers a real service there by letting us know how it's going out there. 569-1080. We've got Kevin Meyer coming on the show Friday. And I really believe, Glenn, that he's going to play a pivotal role in our state here in the next couple of years. We know where Chenault, and we know the cut of his jib. He's a fighter. But really, the real powerful house is the Senate. Or I should say the real powerful portion of the legislative body is the Senate. And it's going to be tough. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how Mr. Walker governs, whether he makes good on all of his leftist friends. You pointed out in the past many times, which I think is very accurate, that Mr. Walker, while he has clearly embraced the anti-oil movement, he has not embraced the far left. There's not a lot of Bill Wielekowskis or Les Garris in his administration, but there are plenty of anti-oil populist people.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what he's always been about. But Meyer is the guy who we're gonna have to get a Braveheart type.
He's gonna need a Braveheart moment.
He's gonna
some kind of rallying cry.
He's gonna need something, yeah.
Well, it'll be a big challenge. First of all, I believe that because of the seriousness of the situation with low oil prices, that the legislature and the administration are going to be playing much nicer than they would be in normal times. Because in crisis, just like in 9/11, I think we all came together.
Yes.
We tried to address it. We tried to act as adults. And so I do think that's going to happen. I don't exactly know what it was that the supporters of Walker wanted. I know what they wanted. I don't know how we could promise them any of that now. Obviously, the number of employees for the state government is going to have to go down dramatically. There isn't going to be any raises given here for several years if you're a state employee, and so your pay and benefits will fall much closer in line with private sector people. I don't know. And I just think in crisis, and that's kind of what I read in the Alaska Dispatch today, and basically everywhere I'm reading is everybody's sort of looking at each other, going, "Why in the world did we take this job?
Yeah.
What were we thinking?"
Yeah. Well, I did see a little clip. I think it was on Channel 2's website Walker speaking at the chamber yesterday. It was yesterday, right?
Oh, I don't know. I missed it.
Yeah, Make It Monday. And I will tell you, I absolutely adore politicians who speak from the heart.
Okay. Not from a
their
speech.
notes. I remember Biegel. He'd get up there and he'd read word for word his speech.
Uh-huh. Obama was really good at that, but they were very powerful speeches.
Well, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but they were written well. But,
yeah, they were just words, somebody else's words.
Walker did not speak from memory. He literally got up there, and he's not a good speaker.
Yeah.
He's really really not a very good speaker. But the fact that he gets up there and tries, I love that.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid don't have your handlers guard your words. And he was honest. He seemed, the clips that I heard.
What did he have to say?
Just to basically throwing up the caution flag. And he said, but that's okay. We've been through this before. We're Alaskans. That kind of thing. And he tried to sound the alarm, but at the same time say, we'll get through this.
Okay.
And, that's
good. Very fatherly. He reminds me of a fatherly person.
Yes, I bet he does have some of that. But just the notion that politicians, if you're going to be a leader, I think you got to be able to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never liked when politicians get up there, and it happens more often than not, where they literally just read remarks that was written by their staff, and they may go over them and edit them.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never appreciated that, and I understand. Well, Dan, not everybody's a great speaker. Well, if you're going to be a leader, you need to speak from your heart. I mean, is that too much to ask of a politician?
Well, if your name is Don Young, might not be a great idea. just
he would be the exception.
A little cautionary tone there. I don't know. Yeah, what I like about it is after you've gotten through sort of your first couple of minutes of what you kind of have planned to say, you start saying things basically that you really believe. And so it is a nice opening for people to look into who you really are.
And it's why Obama never goes off the prompter, because when he starts talking about what he really believes, people get terrified.
That's right.
As they should.
As they should.
Yeah.
As they now know that they should.
So I admire Walker for that. It's gonna be in many ways, Glenn, it's really gonna be fascinating to watch this man, who you and I deep down in our hearts, really want him to succeed and make the state a better place. We do. We disagree with the people who surrounded himself with. We disagree with him in his approach to the oil industry. But deep down, we believe he's a pretty decent fella.
Mm-hmm. I think basically I have a very positive view of this now, because I don't think a state can do anything but get better when it has less money.
Stop feeding the beast.
I honestly think that there's almost no way he can fail.
It's like a drug addict.
Yep.
You don't keep giving your 18-year-old crack addict $100 every week.
But I'll just tell you this right now. This is what Republicans should be working on, is a development plan for Alaska. Every project, every place, every opportunity, every possibility, it has to be looked at. Because I can tell you right now, 18 months from now, you have no idea how hard it's going to be for so many people to live in this state. I mean, right now, we've dropped $2 billion out of the state budget just in the capital process. We're going to drop another $1.5 billion out of the operating budget here as well. We're going to need other things to do. We're going to have a whole bunch of people that if we want them to stay here, they're going to need things to do. So we better start figuring out what jobs
and government employees.
Yeah, they used to be government employees, so we're going to move them from the public sector to the private sector. They're going to go from being regulators to being wealth creators. Great things are going to happen.
There's nothing. Where does the dollar go to die? The government.
Yeah.
If we can shift money from it may not be shifting because there's just not going to be as much in the government sector. I remember I had a gal who was a friend of mine. She used to work for the Denali Commission, and she used to have to deal with state employees all the time. It was a nightmare. Said you can't fire a state employee. It's some of the most incompetent people in the world. That's not saying all state employees are bad, but when you run across them, they had no fear. There was no accountability.
Look, they're 10 to 15 years. Their skill sets are 10 to 15 years behind, on average, the private sector, because the private sector has to adapt.
When we come back, I want you to walk me through.
Okay.
What's going to happen with the price of oil so low the next 5 years? 644, Fagan Biegel in the morning. With the price of oil so low the next 5 years. 644, Fagan Biegel in the morning.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. Give them a call. 569-1080. KOAN.
What to get, what to get, what to get. That's the sound of you banging your head on the wall trying to figure out what gift will make her eyes go wide as she removes that last corner of wrapping paper. You want her Christmas to be special. When she trades tales of Christmas Day with family and friends, you want to see a smile light up her face as she explains how perfect her day was. So what do? Gentlemen, here is your idea extraordinaire. Send her on her own mini vacation. Give her a few unforgettable hours in paradise. Give her a gift certificate to Allure Day Spa and Hair Design, designed to do one thing, take care of her. And when she trades tales of this Christmas Day, she'll probably leave out the part of how she said thank you, especially if she's talking to her mother. Allure Day Spa and Hair Design.
Gift cards now available at Allure on the corner of 5th and B.
If you're ready for the movies, there's just one place to go. Check out moviesacre.com. It's showtime, movie times, previews, and more. Get tickets, win some. Lots of information to explore. Take best spots. Now you'll know just where to go. Before and after every show. Check out moviesacre.com. It's showtime.
Hi, this is Brian Stan. I was a Marine Corps officer before becoming a UFC fighter. Military experience can add greatly to your life, as it has mine. The Air Force Reserve offers many part-time jobs in Alaska, which will allow you to continue your civilian career at the same time. You'll receive excellent training, educational assistance, and many other benefits. Join an outstanding team in the Air Force Reserve. For more information on the Air Force Reserve, go to afreserve.com.
This message is sponsored by the Air Force Reserve and aired by the Alaska Broadcasters Association and this local station.
Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080 KOAN.
6:47 in the morning, Fagan Biegel on KOAN, KVNT, streaming on danfagan.us. You can also go find the KOAN app. What's that other deal? TuneIn app and type in KOAN. You can just put your radio on 95.1 FM in Anchorage, which is the best way to hear us. 92.5 in the Valley FM, 1080 AM in Anchorage, 1020 AM in the Valley. 569-1080. Give us a call. Let us know how the road conditions are where you are. I think most people agree, a couple of exceptions, but most people who look at the price of oil agree that it's not gonna go anywhere up anytime soon. And I suppose we'll have to go with that. But we were talking before the break that is this really a bad thing? Because we have this beast that is state government that is nothing but a big job of the hut of waste. The old saying is government is a place where a dollar goes to die. And I don't know if that's true. It's certainly a place where a dollar goes to shrink. A dollar in the private sector goes much further than in the government sector because the government sector is controlled by public employee unions where there's no accountability, no pursuit of excellence. And so it shrinks. It literally just shrinks and shrivels. And if you're going to put a dollar in the private sector, it's going to be challenged. You have to make most of that dollar because there's a bottom line mentality, and somebody somewhere is going to want the most out of that dollar. When the government, it doesn't really matter. Give me. I'll just get another dollar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In fact, the Anchorage School District just had to waste $22 million, or they might have gotten less money the next year. I mean, exactly. Literally the absolute opposite of how do we not only be efficient but put these monies to the best use. They just had to blow the money out. Yeah.
And many on the left view success in one light. What will produce most for the state? Mm-hmm. Hollis French. One of the most astonishing remarks ever made by any Alaskan in elected office. Well, I'm not that excited about offshore drilling because it's not going to produce that much to state coffers.
Wow.
The amount of jobs.
50,000 jobs
would
come in.
That means nothing to him. It's about state coffers.
Yeah, Marty Rutherford made exactly the same point, totally changed Sarah Palin and what she was going to do with the gas line.
Same exact mentality. So, Glenn, is it really that big a deal if we have a state spending, what are we spending now? $8 million a year, $8 billion a year, and we go down to spending $4 billion a year. Is that really that? I mean, I know there'll be a lot of state employees that will have to lose their jobs, but if they go into the private sector, what is that? All that is that all terrible? Or
if the Republicans played this correctly, and they haven't, I mean, that's really a pipe dream because the Republicans haven't shown me a very good track record. I mean, we just had the House, the Senate, the governors, but we have the vast majority of people are Republicans. You would have thought that, and I made this case to the governor, to his people, to every Republican I could talk to, come out with a development plan. And I think in some cases they have. It's just the media never covers it. So I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. But so good things can happen and bad things can happen. If the Republicans came out and said, in 18 months, the state of Alaska is going to be in dire straits unless we have to do A, B, and C. These are the projects which will save Alaska. Here's a project for, like, for instance, folks, if you're worried about Pebble Mine, you're going to have to get over that. Not that we're going to have to do the project, but we have to give them a public process because you will not have state money. The federal money is drying up as well. You will not be supported by all the, by the supposed 50,000 part-time jobs that are in the fishing industry. You just won't be able to survive. So we really are trying to help you here, and you're going to have to get over your fear. But not only that, mine, the precious or rare earth metals was another thing that Alaska has quite a bit of. But honestly, what will have to happen is we actually are going to have to come together. The one thing that we can't do, and I put this forward to somebody who was on the show the other day, as I said, for feeding people, we probably can handle that.
Yeah.
If it was just all Alaskans and we came together and we had to figure out how to feed people, we can figure that out. We've got, food is not that expensive, and we can share that. And you don't have to eat steak every day or even hamburger every day.
Yeah.
But for someone's rent, we can't figure that out.
No.
We actually cannot figure that out. And if we're going to pay these exorbitant rates that the federal government pays for health care on behalf of people who are not taking care of themselves,
yeah,
which largely is what happens.
Well, let me float this by you. So let's just assume Washington, D.C. dramatically shifts its political worldview. We got a Republican president. We have a Republican legislature, Congress, and the Senate. And all of a sudden, the feds begin to take a pro-development stand here in Alaska. Open up offshore drilling, opening up ANWR, opening up NPRA more, opening up Pebble, opening up the timber industry. I mean, they literally, they shackle the activists at EPA. Those 20,000 state jobs, or 20,000 state employees right now?
Mm-hmm. 23 or something.
So let's say we lose 5-6 of them.
Okay.
Would not a vibrant, healthy economy as a result of the resource development industry exploding because we lost the left in charge of D.C., would they not absorb many of those jobs?
In 4 or 5 years, we wouldn't even remember this blip.
Wow.
We would not.
Man.
It would be so far in the rearview mirror. We'd be looking forward. Our houses would be worth just what they are today.
Wow.
But private employment would be so much better, and across the state it would be so much better.
That much difference.
Oh, totally. It would. That would truly transform Alaska. Left-wing values, Mark Begich values. If we don't move away from them, and left-wing is, the values are this: we can't, we shouldn't. If we do, God only knows what'll happen, right? Not let's figure out if we can. Let's see, what technology we've developed. Let's do this the best way that we can. Those are right-wing values. Right-wing values are, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's got to be good, though, and that's the difference between left and right. So if we don't throw off the left-wing values that say we can't, no, honestly, no, we're in serious trouble.
I'm so glad to hear you say that, because the more I think about it, I agree with you. Because, a lot of people say, well, the oil industry, they're not going to invest because the price of oil is low. Look, we've got so much infrastructure already invested here. That Trans-Alaska pipeline is what makes offshore drilling feasible. We have to build another pipeline through NPRA to connect it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes ANWR feasible. The industry's already spent well over $100 million in infrastructure, $100 billion now in infrastructure. So the idea that they wouldn't, because we're always going to need oil, the the supply, the demand is not going to go away.
The one thing that they will have to have is certainty.
They being oil producers.
Oil producers, yeah. And there are several levels that produce uncertainty. The first one is the state of Alaska. If we don't get our budget house in order,
yes,
we're going to be the vampire, and sitting at the table
Yes.
and getting hungrier and hungrier. And since the oil industry's got a nice vein, we're going to be looking at that. We're going to think, hey,
We've punctured it before. We can puncture it.
yeah,
again.
we're going to come after that.
Yeah.
And so that's the first level of uncertainty, is the people of Alaska and the government of Alaska. Can it figure out how to live within its means so it can be a good partner?
Yes.
Because if your people are starving, honestly, at that point, pretty much everything is thrown out the window.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. The second one is the courts. If Greenpeace can sue to stop a project for 7 years, cost you $1 billion in research into what the ecology is up in the Chukchi Sea, and then get the actual lease sale thrown out at the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and I'm talking about Shell here, plus they put in a lawsuit, the lawsuit that stopped them was an air violation lawsuit. That it wasn't that they were going to violate the air quality. It's that they hadn't considered that they might violate the air quality from a ship 70 miles away.
Well, the ship in question emitted had fewer carbon emissions than the average jet airline.
That's right. Absolutely right. And so they haven't done studies as to whether or not the airplanes that fly overhead are going to violate the villages. So anyway, the entire process that our environmentalists are allowed to engage in, total uncertainty, total delay.
Is it safe to say that the greatest harm that this president will have done to our country, and it is so extensive, but long term will be one by one getting rid of the judges he appointed? That because they'll be able to damage. Because if you're a judge with no regard for the law, then you're going to just put in what you want, which is what most of his judges will do, and they'll all be leftist values. The damage you can do is just immeasurable.
Sure. Well, it's almost permanent, which is what we've seen. But the last area of uncertainty is the Fed, the federal government, and that's what you're talking about doing. Let's get rid of this uncertainty in the federal government. Yes. We still have existing laws which the environmentalists will use against us, and we still have a question about the heart of Alaskans.
Yes.
Do you want a vibrant partnership with the oil industry? That's the big question for us.
Well, if we quit feeding the beast.
And can we live within our means?
If we quit feeding the beast and government it's reduced by 25-30% state government, and we're still okay, which we would be.
We'll be okay.
Oh, sure.
It'll be hard, and it'll take a lot of hands working together.
It'll be a disaster for all the nonprofits.
All the nonprofits will be really, really hurting. Well, some of them will be doing well, because the ones that are trusted, the Catholic Social Services and the Salvation Army, people who provide real services for a very insignificant amount of money, those are going to be heavily.
569-1080, Dwayne Bannock, talk show host down on the peninsula. Join us a little bit later on. Also, State Representative Lynn Gaddis. She's a state rep, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to hear what you think about Jeb Bush running for pres.
569-1080, Fagan Biegel in the morning.
For pres.
569-1080, Fagan Biegel in the morning.
After a hard day at work and then shopping for the holidays, the last thing you want to do is slave over a hot stove. Well, don't worry about it. Relief from this hectic time of year is just a jingle away. Call 333-8000 and ring in the holidays with the Sicily Season Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. So relax and let Sicily's deliver hot, fresh, delicious pizza, pasta, calzones, wings, and salads right to your door. It's fast, easy, and affordable. Call 333-8000 and ask for the Season's Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. For the only 24-hour-a-day delivery in Alaska, call 333-8000 or save 20% by ordering online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's. Wishing you and yours a safe and happy holiday season.
You're listening to Hot Talk, KOAN, Anchorage, AM 1080, and retranslated on 95.1 FM on K236CG, Anchorage.
Oh, I'm Dave Anthony. George was Bush 41. W was 43. Will Jeb be Bush 45? Florida's former governors eyeing the White House. Fox News Radio's Evan Brown live in Miami.
Dave, Republican former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, brother to George W., son to George H.W., reveals via Facebook he's forming a political action committee to see whether or not he should make a run for the White House in 2016. Jeb Bush presidential candidacy has been speculated upon for years now, and the former governor said he'd make a decision by the new year. Dave?
Evan, they're dead. All the terrorists who stormed a school in Pakistan finally stopped after shooting students in class after class.
Wiped away by Taliban assassins who serve a dark and almost medieval vision.
Fox News Radio's Simon Owen now details the attack in Peshawar live from London.
Dave, the school day had just started when witnesses say they saw 6 men climb over the school walls, then storm the building, killing at least 120 people, most of them thought to be children. It's an army school in Peshawar in the northwest of Pakistan, and the Pakistani Taliban, which has claimed responsibility, says it's revenge for an anti-Taliban military offensive. Pakistan is no stranger to terrorism, but this is one of the country's deadliest attacks ever, Dave.
Simon, police in Pennsylvania have yet to catch up to Bradley Stone, wanted for murdering his ex-wife yesterday, her mother, grandmother, sister, brother-in-law, and niece. Fox News Radio's Tanya J. Powers live in Pennsburg.
Dave, law enforcement officials from all over the area are here at the command center where I am in Montgomery County. That includes K-9 officers, too. Members of the Chester Montgomery Emergency Response Team, just some of them, they may have seen a suspect that looked like Bradley Stone last night, but police won't confirm, Dave.
And Tanya on Wall Street, after some selling early, the Dow is now up about 15. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
And now, a Golf Miss Carol brought to you by Golfsmith.
On the 12th day of golf, Miss my Golfsmith gave to me 12 Pro V1s, 11 Under Armour's, 10 Golf Tech lessons, 9 Nike pants, 8 Bertha irons, 7 Golfsmith gift cards, 6 Garmin watches, 5 iron 2.
Come celebrate Golf Miss, happening right now only at Golfsmith.
2 Cleveland wedges and a tap-in birdie on a par 3.
Golfsmith, anything for golf.
And quality mean? With our remarkable asset device, you can see for yourself how and why a diamond sparkles the way it does. Join us as we celebrate 100 years of love with exceptional quality and extraordinary value. Hellsberg Diamonds, a Berkshire Hathaway company.
Stocks keep going higher. The Dow's now up 70.
We'll pay you to feel good. We'll pay you to look good. We'll pay you to get treated like the spectacular human being you are. Sound reasonable? When you join us at Allure Day Spa and Hair Design for any service, we give you loyalty reward points to use on any of our products. You get a massage, you feel great, and we give you points to use on products. You have a beauty day, hair, facial, nails. You look wow. And we give you points to spend on products. You come in for waxing, points for products. It's our way of saying thank you for being a client. If you've never been to Allure Day Spa, here's what you'll like. Allure was voted one of the top 5 salons in America, and it's for everyone. If you've never been to Allure, please come by and take a tour to see why people say, I should have stopped in sooner. Once you get to know us, we think you'll love us. Of course, you'll find us on the web, but more importantly, you can find Allure Day Spa and Hair Design downtown, corner of 5th and B.
Trail Boss Solutions is an Alaskan-owned, nationally recognized top 500 construction and remodel firm. With our award-winning kitchen designs and remodels, Trail Boss Solutions is fully licensed, bonded, and insured, and has the experienced professionals to take your project from initial design through completion, on time and on budget. Please visit us on the web at trailboss-solutions.com or contact Trail Boss Solutions direct at 646-1403.
When I grow up, I want to be a pro basketball player.
An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor, and President of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can grow your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local country financial representative offers helpful advice on everything, from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Glen Biegel, you have beautiful teeth.
Why, thank you, Dan Fagan. That's because my family and I have gone to Dr. Dan Kiley for years.
I get scared at the dentist.
Dr. Kiley knows people like you are afraid, so he creates a relaxed atmosphere at his office. People actually like going to the dentist for Dr. Kiley.
I know it's important to have good dental health.
And you look better with good teeth. And Dr. Kiley offers cosmetic dentistry along with general care.
Visit Dr. Dan Kiley at lakeotisdental.com. Call him at 562-9209.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
All right, welcome back. 6 minutes past 7 o'clock here on Fagan Biegel in the morning, KOAN, KVNT. Streaming live video and audio, danfagan.us. Here's our number. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know how the traffic's flowing out there. We heard there's some congestion coming in from the valley. Give us a report from where you are by dialing 569-1080. 569-1080. So this new Moses movie, Glenn Beck says, don't go see it. Was it you that said that, Brian, or was it you, Glenn?
I did. I saw that. He said, avoid it like the plague that it is.
Wow.
But I don't know that I trust Glenn Beck, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
I used to listen to him, and I thought it was very funny, but then I just thought he got conspiratorial, and I thought that he lost a lot of credibility with me, and so
as far as
he doesn't do it for me, and I think almost he'd rather lead regardless of whether the parade is going in the right direction.
So is he kind of flirting with the Alex Jones stuff? You know who Alex Jones is?
Yeah, I don't know that I've listened to Alex Jones all that much, but I don't know.
Yeah, he's about 65% of what he says is not true.
Yeah,
and he knows it.
But I don't know. I think sometimes Glenn Beck will say things for effect because he knows he has a pretty big effect on people, especially in religious realms. So if he says something is a plague, and I don't know whether it's to get himself accolades or make himself a little bit bigger, but I don't tend. I went and watched the Noah movie. It's not like I'm going to get my theology from Noah from the movie.
Yeah.
So that wasn't really the point. It was a good movie. It was an interesting interpretation of what might have happened. And no, I didn't see it as environmentalist at all. I didn't even know what the guys are talking about.
Really? I didn't go see it because of that.
Yeah, I know. But so I went and watched it, and I had heard the objections to it and all that kind of stuff. And I watched it, and I thought, well, that was an interesting movie. I mean,
So you are going to go see the Moses movie?
It was more good versus evil. I don't know. I mean, it'll totally be dependent on my daughter. My daughter, Mars, coming into town. It's my oldest.
Right.
She's 21, but she loves to go out to movies. So, and I would love for her to drag me to several movies because I haven't seen any hardly for a year. So.
Right. Well, speaking of conspiratorial, and I sent you a note about this, and we'll take some calls here in a second. 569-1080. One of your real strengths that I realized the last couple of days, and I guess I always kind of knew, but I didn't realize how important it was. Everybody knows Glen Biegel's a conservative. Everybody knows you're pro-life. No wavering there. No wavering on small government. You're just as your credentials in that realm, nobody would question. Nobody does. But yet you have the ability to speak to some of the things that are embraced in the conservative movement that just frankly aren't true. And the conservative movement is not perfect. And some folks in the Tea Party, which I would consider myself a Tea Partier, they tend to get outside of the lines of realism. Because a lot of them, they don't really know how life works. They maybe have not had a lot of experience in the government realm. They're just doing their thing.
They don't know how politics works.
Politics works.
Yeah, because they don't like politics because politics is ugly. And all.
Right, exactly. They're ideologues to a fault. It's purity or nothing.
Right. In other words, if I don't get 100% of what I think is right, then obviously the entire nation cannot possibly survive. We've never had 100% of what anybody thinks is right.
But when you speak to that issue, you do it with such sensibility. And when you were talking to Rosie, who was kind enough to fill in for a couple of days about the Patriot Act, and she was coming, as many Tea Partiers do, especially Ron Paul Tea Partiers, from the perspective that the government's listening to everything we're doing, totally violating our constitutional rights, and we literally are just wards of the state now, in the surveillance state. And you talked her through that, and well, has anyone ever brought a case where that they had their constitutional rights violated because of the Patriot Act? And it was such a sensible response to her fear, which I think was unjustified to some degree. And that's a real strength that you have, because you come with such credibility to that movement. And when you really kind of in a real calm and kind of, well, I understand what you're saying, but what about this? And it's just such a powerful thing to have because as a conservative movement, Glenn, if we sway into the conspiratorial, we're going to lose, because if we're not right, the media will absolutely have a field day with us.
Yeah,
we don't have the leeway the left does. The left, like you said, you said this I think yesterday. Truth is not really a consideration for them. They have the luxury of being able to say anything and having Alice Rogoff cover for them.
Well, the way I said it was that if you're a liberal politician and you ever say the truth about what liberals want to do, what they believe, to anyone in public, you are clearly not qualified to be in the political class.
Like Gruber.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And he actually went out and said the truth, said exactly what they expect out of the media, exactly what they expect out of their voters, which is we want you to be stupid and we don't want you, the media, to ask us any questions about that. Is that okay for everybody? Good. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, I think it's very critical for me personally to know what the truth is.
Yeah.
And anytime, as you are always listening for, well, that doesn't make any sense, I'm always listening to that doesn't make any sense. And whenever somebody challenges me, by the way, online, I take it very seriously because I want to be right. I want to have the truth on my side. And so I don't like the surveillance state either, but I still recognize that our Fourth Amendment is still intact, at least in the way that the founders meant it. And then I challenge people as to what kind of an implementation they would like to limit terror.
And let's be honest, Glenn. As much as you and I embrace and endorse the conservative ideology, there's some people in our movement that are not above board. They're just in it for themselves, to make a name for themselves. And if they've got to float some crazy conspiracy that because people in our movement are so distrustful of the mainstream media, as they should.
Mm-hmm.
So those who do not have good intentions can manipulate those people and say, well, the media won't tell you this, but and I'm not going to name any names because I don't really know. I know Alex Jones does it because his conspiracies are so ridiculous. But there's a real appetite for that in the conservative movement, and that we'll lose.
Yeah,
we'll lose if we keep embracing those far out, crazy conspiracies.
It's critical that conservatism is built on the foundation of common sense.
And I'm telling you,
absolutely critical.
This is my thing with Ron Paul, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. I know that people love him and they get mad at me, but when that woman went up to him in that meeting, after the meeting, and she had a little tape recorder, a video recorder, she said, when are you going to start telling the people about the truth about 9/11? He says, I already got enough heat on me right now. I can't do that right now. And we wonder why all Ron Paul's followers think 9/11's an inside job. We can't have that. We'll take some calls right after this. Tom's up first. 569-1080, time 7:14. 569-1080, time 7:14.
and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
This is Dr. Ellenberg. Are you tired of taking medications? Do your medications create more side effects than solutions? Do you want more than 15 minutes with your doctor? If you answer yes to those questions, you should consider calling the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine. At our center, we take the time to listen and focus on finding the cause of your health problems. Whether you have a cold, high blood pressure, diabetes, or cancer, we can help. Call the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine at 563-2366 or visit us online at drellenberg.com. We can help.
We all know Christmas shopping can be brutal, but I've learned that the easiest and best answer for gifts to friends and relatives outside is to handle it all with just one phone call. Yep, I send them New Sagaya's Alaska Golden King crab for Christmas, and I never have to worry because New Sagaya sends only the freshest, meatiest jumbo king crab clusters. 5 pounds of Golden King crab delivered by UPS overnight delivery anywhere in the continental United States. And it's packaged by New Sagaya's experts with dry ice and gel ice in a tight styrofoam box. It's guaranteed to arrive fresh and ready to eat any day you specify. The fantastic crab feast, the boxing, the shipping, and the delivery, New Sagaya takes care of all of it for you for just $155. No standing in line, just one phone call, and you can send it to as many places as you wish. So look, if you want to do it the easy way, call New Sagaya's Crab Central, 561-5173. 561-5173. Send them crab for Christmas from New Sagaya.
Hanukkah, the festival of lights. Join us for Cirque de Hanukkah, featuring an incredible acrobatic display by the Chicago Boys acrobatic team, as seen on America's Got Talent. Enjoy latkes, donuts, Israeli falafel, and let the kids have a blast with Meltdown, a new multiplayer Hanukkah spinning game. Sunday, December 21st, 5 p.m. at the Egan Center. All families welcome. Tickets at the door or online at alaskajewishcampus.org. Happy Hanukkah to all.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call.
All right, 7:17. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, right here on KOAN, KVNT. DanFagan.us is where we're streaming audio and video. Our number 569-1080. I'm going to back off my comments a little bit on this Ron Paul thing. I could be misinterpreting. Glenn says I am. I think we'll have to agree to disagree on the conspiratorial people. It seems to me most Ron Paul supporters embrace the conspiracies that I find dangerous to our movement. And there was a clip that Ron Paul, it was kind of a woman had her cell phone rolling, and it was after a meeting, and she goes up to him and says, when are you going to start speaking out about the truth about 9/11? And he said, I got too much heat right now. I can't talk about that. I characterize that as a gotcha moment because a good portion of Ron Paul supporters believe 9/11 is an inside job. It's always the first question I asked them. And most times it's, yes, I do believe it's an inside job. Glenn says that comment doesn't necessarily prove that Ron Paul embraces that comment or embraces the conspiracy theory that 9/11 was an inside job. And you say what he was really talking about was?
Well, I think he could be talking about a belief that he does have. I believe he has. That is that American foreign policy has not done a very good job of leading the world toward a more safe outcome.
And he has said on the record that he believes one of the reasons Muslims hate us is because we have bases in the Middle East.
Yes. So that would be my guess as to what he meant by that, because I haven't heard him say that he thinks 9/11 was an inside.
Well, actually, he has said that he does not believe it is.
Okay, well there you go.
Yeah, but that's
But anyway, so that might match that up. Look, I believe in Ron Paul. There are some things I disagree with him on, but I think that if he was elected president, and I know that'll never happen, obviously, but if he was elected president, I think the things that I disagree with him on. After he talks about them in public, the media, this is something that would never happen for Democrats, the media would shame him and show him the past and show him how important our foreign policy is and what it means to just allow the rest of the world essentially to settle it out and then have 95% of the world against us versus 35% of the world against us, right? I mean, what would, my question to the people who support just withdrawing to within our borders, how would you have fought the Soviet Union? It was critical to deny them more firewood, more kindling for their fire. And that's what we did. But so I think his foreign policy objectives would be muted, and that's because he's a conservative. But I think he might be able to do some good things here nationally, and I think he's a much more
cutting spending.
Yeah, much closer to me, as far as not wanting, understanding that the government, when it spends money, does not just do good.
Well, I'm with him 100% on domestic issues. Get rid of the Department of Education, all those. I'm totally there. 569-1080, 569-1080. If you'd like to join the broadcast this morning, let's go to Tom. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. You were talking about the capital budget earlier.
Yes, sir.
And the fact that Walker is slashing it. I remember years ago when Dave Donnelly was in the legislature, and we didn't have a lot of money, so we borrowed money to build Elmore Road, and turned out Elmore Road is tremendous road, and we certainly have enough money to pay back the bonds. In looking at what's going on in Prudhoe Bay with all of the growth and the growth potential there, now is the time, because interest rates are so low, is if we need money for the bridge, if we need money for the Ambler Mining District, if we need money for various things, we can go to Wall Street and get it for 1%.
Yeah.
1.5%.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous that we're pulling in our horns.
Yeah.
When the world's our oyster, and the world, and the future looks really sweet, and let's go for it.
Well, Tom,
just to sit on our hands and do nothing doesn't make sense.
Well, let's look at the what is your interpretation of what the Connect Arm Bridge would mean to South Central Alaska?
It would be a game changer.
How so?
One, there's 3 different cities that would be built on the other side of the inlet. 2, people like Glen's kids that are young could afford to actually buy a house and drive to work here in Anchorage.
Yeah.
We've got people that are driving 60, 70, 80 miles one way to come to work because that's the closest place that they can buy a house and live. It's just ridiculous.
So why do you
that
think
we haven't built that bridge?
Oh, I agree, and I would say that was Sean Parnell's biggest failure. But why is it that Parnell and Walker and Knowles and Palin and all these guys haven't been able to see, Murkowski, haven't been able to see how huge that bridge could be to this region?
I think a lot of people just don't look at the possibilities. They're so ingrained in what's happening today, and there's so many things going on that they don't sit back and, it's like when you're at your business, there's business owners that work in their business, and then there's business owners that work on their business. And you have to be able to work on your business and say, okay, what's the future? What should I be doing to make sure that the future is bright, instead of just putting out fires day in and day out? And I think lots of times they're just, this is happening today, I have to deal with this today, and they never look at the future. It's a lot of people complain about the assembly and the school board going down to Alyeska and having these conferences where they're away from the telephones and away from the constituents, and they can just really look at what's happening in Anchorage or what's happening with the school district. And I think that's a great thing, to get away and sit in a room someplace and say, okay, what if?
Yeah.
What if we were able to do this? And we don't do that near enough, and most people don't do it near enough, where they say, what about the future? Like the Ambler Mining District. Look at what Nana and Tecumseh has done for the Kotzebue area.
Yeah.
I mean, that place was dismal
25
years ago.
Yep.
And today, it's just this bright and shining example of what can happen when there's jobs. And there's thousands and thousands of jobs in the Ambler Mining District that are waiting for one thing, and that's a $1 billion road. A $1 billion road that industry has said they'll pay us back for.
Well, Glenn was talking earlier about this idea of starving the beast and the fact that we're obviously going to have to reduce the size of state government. Is that a bad thing? Does that mean that maybe these jobs, some of these workers will filter into the private sector, and there is a silver lining here?
Oh, I think that the state government, there's no question in my mind there that we have become bloated. Just a few years ago, I looked at the Alaska magazine, and it said we had 20,000 workers in the state. Now we have 25,000 workers.
Wow.
In just a couple of years, it's ballooned by 25%.
My goodness.
And so yes, we need to reduce the operational size, but we need to increase the capital budget side. And so we build towards the future, and we build towards private jobs.
Well, you can always learn from the left. And I remember when Shannon Moore, one day I was listening to her show, and she started talking about how great it was, the Arab Spring, and how it was going to mean freedom in Egypt. And of course, I thought, uh-oh, something's wrong here. What am I missing?
Yikes.
And for years, all the only cutting that the Anchorage Daily News would ever endorse would be capital budget spending.
Mm-hmm.
So that if the left's for it, okay, what's the real story?
Right, and ask the people in Australia how that Arab Spring's going for them.
Yes.
Ask the people in Pakistan this morning how that Arab Spring is doing, where terrorists went in and killed 120 some people in a school.
Terrible.
It just the Muslims have been around since 700 AD, and every couple hundred years, the rest of the world's had to deal with them and deal rather strongly with them. And the last time that they had an uprising was in Egypt in the late 1800s, and the British went in and killed hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them. And I guess it's time again.
Well, you cannot argue that they're the source of most of the pain and suffering on the planet today.
Well, and we just need to deal with it because the jihadists, the ISIS is preaching the lone wolf, that the lone person should take up jihad and kill wherever they happen to be.
Right.
And that's what happened in Australia.
Fort Hood,
Texas. Pakistan this morning. There was, I think, 6 people involved in that. But, what we need to do is say, we cannot condone this. We can't stand for this. And we have to take the fight to them, because if we don't take the fight to them, like George Bush said, they're going to come to us.
Sure.
And I would rather fight that game as an away game.
Absolutely. Well, Tom, thanks for your call.
Okay, have a good day. Take care.
All right, appreciate it. Yeah, Dick Cheney said we can't play defense.
Yeah, it's all. I really am faulting Republicans here more and more for not recognizing that we were going to be in dire straits, and they really needed to get economic development going in the state of Alaska. Like I said, the Ambler Road, the Connecticut Arm Bridge. Obviously Biegel stopped us on Pebble. And so, you can't blame Republicans for that. And, Biegel's party stopped us doing oil development all across the state of Alaska.
Yep.
So, but at this point, and maybe what they were missing is the thing which we have now, which is a crisis. We cannot possibly stay where we are, which means we have to move somewhere, right? And before, however crazy or unreasonable or however much better they could have made it, they always could have stayed right where they were. You didn't have to go out in front of the news media. You didn't have to put any skin in the game. Parnell didn't have to have a vision which we were going to follow, and he was going to lead the state to a different place. We just stayed where we were.
Fagan Biegel in the morning, KOAN, KVNT, 729. KOAN, KVNT, 729.
And now, the Fox News Business Report, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
It's turning into a rocky day for stocks as oil prices continue to fall and the Russian ruble fell to a record low against the dollar. That comes after Russia sharply hiked its key interest rate in a bid to support the country's currency. Dow Industrials are up 27 points. Builders broke ground on fewer homes last month. Housing starts fell 1.6% from October. The Wall Street Journal reports U.S. prosecutors are now close to a deal with Alstom that would require the engineering giant to pay more than $500 million to settle a foreign bribery probe. The Journal says a settlement of that size would be the largest ever deal between a corporation and the Justice Department related to foreign bribery. And Chrysler Group is changing its name. The company will now be known as FCA US. Chrysler and its Italian owner Fiat merged earlier this year. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jolene Kent.
This holiday season, give the most eternal, unique gift of the year. Name a star after someone. I'm Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $54 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, we'll name a star after anyone on your gift list. The star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office, and we will send an incredible personalized gift package. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com for the gift that shines forever.
With KOAN News, I'm Chuck White. Anchorage police investigating the death of a homeless woman near a shelter this weekend. 46-year-old woman's boyfriend was on the scene. Told medics she had no known medical problems. She was not believed to be using drugs or alcohol, and there were no visible injuries. As Ann Kenda reports, Medicaid expansion could be months away here in Alaska.
Talks are underway about expanding Medicaid, but health officials say it'll be at least July before the state will be able to start enrolling more people. Issues to be worked out include a Medicaid eligibility system and a Medicaid payment system that has had problems ever since it went live in 2013. Expanded Medicaid in Alaska was a campaign platform of new Governor Bill Walker.
Governor Bill Walker has submitted a $106 million capital budget to the legislature. As analysts point out, that figure is much lower than what is normally spent on capital projects. That's your Hot Talk News update.
Intervals of clouds and sunshine today with a snow shower, high at 33. Then a little snow during the evening, which will accumulate a coating to an inch. Otherwise, it will remain rather cloudy through the night with a low 25. And for tomorrow, partial sunshine, high 28, and a low tomorrow night of 18. Partial sunshine Thursday with a flurry, high 26. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN, 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Here at the hospital, the focus is patient health. But as the administrator, my focus is patient information. Medical histories, lab results, millions of documents printed, scanned, and accessed.
With intelligent EcoSys printers and powerful MFPs like the 45-page per minute Task Alpha 4551 CI, plus customized apps and services, Kyocera helps you manage the many documents that matter.
At a hospital, every document is important.
Learn more at kyoceradocumentsolutions.com/US.
Royal Business Systems has been a leading provider of high-quality business technology and services since 1990. Royal Business Systems provides HP, Okidata, and Kyocera printers and MFPs, and support recognized throughout the industry as best in class. Come to Royal Business Systems for the total document solution you need to succeed in a competitive marketplace. Don't call 1-800-WHO-CARES. Call Royal Systems at 563-4118. That's 563-4118. Or visit us at akcopy.net.
When I grew up, I want to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can grow your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Here's my good friend, Keith Monternock.
Automotive repairs can be frustrating. Let me help. Call 349-1637. I have been in business for nearly 20 years at the same location. Specialty Truck and Auto is in South Anchorage behind the Long Branch Saloon where Diamond becomes Abbott. I have 6 ASE certified technicians working from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I have a voucher for any of the 6 Alaska Laser Wash locations for each customer. If you schedule ahead and need a ride when you drop your vehicle off, I may be able to help. Call Specialty Truck and Auto, 349-1637.
Hot Top KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080KOAN.com.
Oh, I like that. What is that?
It's called Santa Helpers.
Let me hear a little bit of that. I love Christmas. 7:36 in the morning, Fagan Biegel, KOAN, KVNT. We're also streaming live on danfagan.us. Our number 569-1080, 569-1080. That's the telephone number if you'd like to be a part of the broadcast. Let me go to. We're gonna join Dwayne Bannock here in a second, but let me first take Joe's call. Joe, you there?
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
How you doing, man?
Good. Hello, Glenn.
Hi.
You were talking earlier about the state's fiscal crisis, Dan, and I was remembering back in 1985, and perhaps Glenn could remember this too. Governor Steve Cooper, during a State of the State address, announced his very first words were, "No state employees are going to lose their jobs." And it about made me sick because we, the private sector, were losing our jobs left and right. In fact, there was caravans upon caravans of vehicles going over the border through Canada, back down to the lower 48.
But Joe, that's because the left has always viewed government as an industry.
Yeah. And the thing is this time around, we've got to do it different. Now, being that no state workers lost their jobs last time around, well, somebody lost their jobs, and it was the oil patch people, I believe. So we've got to encourage the oil companies to not lay off people when marginal fields and wells are no longer profitable. So
Well, that's
I don't know
tough.
how we're going to...
They can't lose money, otherwise their whole company will go under, rather than just the ones that are not profitable.
The only thing we can do is this on? Is this mic on? Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Okay.
you. Mhm.
The only thing we can do, Joe, is create a climate where that they will want to invest here.
We can create a climate where the costs are much less, the certainty is much greater, and that's really what a lot of these companies need. They know that it's going to get rough to develop oil in Nigeria and other places because the violence is probably going to increase most other places in the world. So they're going to want to come home. They're going to want to come back to the United States and develop their oil resources here, but we've got to make ourselves make the process very rational, like Canada has, for instance.
Yeah. All right, let's bring in our guest. Dwayne Bannock is the host of the Tall, Dark, and Handsome Show, airing on KSRM 920 AM down on the peninsula. RadioKenai.com is where you can hear it. It's on every afternoon at 4 o'clock. Dwayne, hello.
Good morning, Dan Fagan. Merry Christmas.
Same to you and your lovely family. I met you. I think the word of your wife, and I met one of your sons just recently here in Anchorage. And I hope you're doing everybody's doing well down there.
It's very odd being up this time of the day. As you noted, I'm an afternoon kind of guy. This is very strange for me this time of day.
So you've been hosting a show down there for how long now?
The Tall, Dark, and Handsome Show has been with us for just a little over a year. Prior to that, I was privileged to host KSRM's Sound Off Talk Show for a couple of years. That show's been around for 47 years.
So you're on at 4 o'clock every day?
4 to 6 drive time, yeah.
Good for you, man. I hear things are just exploding down there on the Kenai. What's going on?
Boy, I'll tell you what, life is good on the peninsula in so many ways.
Wasn't like that 4 or 5 years ago, was it?
That's a fact. Doom and gloom perhaps ruled the day 4 or 5 years ago. Today, to quote Senator Peter Machicki, District O stands for opportunity, and that's really what we're seeing a lot of. Of course, it's based in everything positive in Alaska is based in oil, isn't it? Oil and gas.
What specifically changed?
Well, I think two things had to do with it. Number one, we had a favorable tax climate, which to those that say taxes don't matter because they just pass them on to the consumer, you need to look at the Kenai Peninsula as Exhibit A. That's not accurate. Number two, there was renewed interest. There may have been a crisis, to be honest with you, Dan. I don't know if we had a gas crisis or not. Maybe it was a manufactured one, if you want to believe in that conspiracy. But what we do know for a fact is that we had a renewed interest in producers looking for more gas in Cook Inlet to feed both your market and mine.
Yeah.
And they've done it.
Specifically, it was the tax rate that produced, or those exploring and producing oil and gas in the Cook Inlet, that changed dramatically, almost to 0%, right?
It did. It did, because the goal was, let's put people to work. Goal number one was, let's make sure we've got enough gas to provide service to more than half of the residents of the state of Alaska. Keep in mind, your energy all comes from Cook Inlet, everything from the Map Valley to Homer, Alaska, and all points in between. All that energy comes from Cook Inlet.
Now, that was a state tax rate.
Correct.
What about the local government down there? Did they pitch in on that, or they benefit from property taxes and that kind of thing, sales tax?
Well, the local governments take their tax rate from the state's tax rate.
Okay.
The state actually manages the property tax on oil and gas facilities and production equipment, and then the borough takes a piece of that. The boroughs and the cities take a piece of that, as it were.
Okay.
So the state determines it, though.
Talking to Dwayne Bannock, who's a talk show host on KSRM in the Valley, or excuse me, in the Kenai Peninsula.
Thank you for that. Wow.
Can you give me some specifics, details of how things have exploded? I mean, are there just is there a lot of development, or what? Because I haven't been down there in a couple of years. What specifically has happened?
Well, we have a geographical area that has a road that runs through it. It's called the North Road. Okay. Everyone on the peninsula is familiar with the North Road, and it would be the community of Nikiski. It's kind of the jumping off point for the platforms and the work being done in Cook Inlet. For years, it was referred to as our own Rust Belt because what you saw was nothing but decay, empty buildings boarded up, businesses that had boarded up and gone out of business. Today, what you see is a revitalization. You see oil companies, oil field service companies, new names to Alaska, not new names in the business, but new names to Alaska. One of my acquaintances from there works for a company based in Louisiana, where you love, and he said it's like driving through home, seeing all of these names. Companies like Expro, companies like FMC, different companies to us here in Alaska, but companies big both worldwide and nationally. Hillcorp is becoming a major player in Alaska as well as here on the Kenai Peninsula. XTO Energy, a company that a few years ago no one had heard of, and they made the big news when Exxon bought them. But gone are the Shells. We have no more. Shell isn't here any longer. Chevron isn't here any longer. But what we have are these other companies, again, new to Alaska, but not new to the business.
Talking to Dwayne Bannock, tall, dark, and handsome talk show host on KSRM. When we come back, I know Glenn had some questions for you. I also want to ask you how a Walker administration might play into this growth down on the peninsula, and whether you expect some changes there, and just your overall thoughts on the new governor. 744, Fagan and Biegel in the morning. 569-1080 is our number. Stay with us.
just sit there. Give them 569-1080. Join the conversation. KOAN.
If you're ready for the movies, there's just one place to go. Check out moviesacre.com. It's showtime. Movie times, previews, and more. Get tickets, friends, lots of information to explore. Great restaurants. Now you'll know just where to go before and after every show. Check out moviesacre.com. It's showtime.
We all know Christmas shopping can be brutal, but I've learned that the easiest and best answer for gifts to friends and relatives outside is to handle it all with just one phone call. Yep, I send them new Segaya's Alaska Golden King crab for Christmas, and I never have to worry because new Segaya sends only the freshest, meatiest jumbo king crab clusters. 5 pounds of Golden King crab delivered by UPS overnight delivery anywhere in the continental United States. And it's packaged by New Segaya's experts with dry ice and gel ice in a tight styrofoam box. It's guaranteed to arrive fresh and ready to eat any day you specify. The fantastic crab feast, the boxing, the shipping, and the delivery, New Segaya takes care of all of it for you for just $155. No standing in line, just one phone call, and you can send it to as many places as you wish. So look, if you want to do it the easy way, call New Segaya's Crab Central, 561-5173. 561-5173. Send them crab for Christmas from New Segaya.
There's a lot of so-called experts out there claiming to have the key to success in business for a price. Are you ready for real business advice you can trust without a fee? Then don't miss Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Advice from people in the know. Technology, finance, taxes, and more. Business people helping business people take their skills and services to the next level. Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. on Hot Talk, KOAN, 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080 KOAN.
747, Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, KOAN, KVNT, streaming on danfagan.us, both video and audio. Our number 569-1080. Our good friend Keith Montauk over at Specialty Truck and Auto will hook you up. He'll hook a brother up, as they say back south. If you have any kind of repair need for your truck, auto, SUV, Keith Montauk is a trustworthy mechanic. He has 6 ASC certified mechanics working with him. I was just over there the other day. Boy, they're busy. They're working hard. And it's much to the satisfaction of many Alaska driver. Keith Montauk, Specialty Truck and Auto, right across the street from the Long Branch Saloon off of Abbott. Here's his telephone number, 349-1637. 349-1637. We're talking to Dwayne Bannock, who is a talk show host down on the Kenai Peninsula, the Tall, Dark, and Handsome Hour, every day at 4 o'clock. So, obviously, you've seen an incredible boom on the peninsula. A lot of folks are worried about the Walker team. They say he is assembling one of the greatest teams of all time if you want to go to war with the oil industry. What do you say about all this?
Yeah, it's a concern here, no doubt. The peninsula, the Kenai Peninsula Borough, overwhelmingly voted for Sean Parnell. And the other big thing on our horizon, I described to you what's going on right now, but guess what? The future's still so bright, we've got to wear shades here.
Yeah.
The LNG project, Alaska LNG, right now slated for a terminus at Nikiski. That's going to bring thousands of construction jobs and hundreds of long-term, good-paying, stable jobs. As you may have known, the Agram plant, which was perhaps the beginning of the doom and gloom 5 or 6 years ago, they have applied for licensing to restart that plant. Again, more good jobs, good-paying jobs, and a major contributor to the economy. Bill Walker, when I had the opportunity to talk with him, my first answer was, or my first question had to do with, are you going to try to move the terminus of the LNG project. As we know,
to
the
Valdez.
walkers to Valdez or somewhere.
Yeah.
And his first answer, quite frankly, was a glib, nice, good political answer. The terminus of this is the Pacific Rim. I go, stop it with that. That's you're trying to avoid the question.
Right.
Now, the good news is our legislature has done a good job of managing this project, I believe, to the point where a major shift in the project requires the legislature to be on board with it. What Governor Walker has the ability to do is to slow down the growth or the progress, but I don't believe that there is anything from the governor's authority that he can unilaterally make changes to the plan that is already in process. I would have appreciated a governor that was a little more supportive of it, but based on the way that the law has been structured for it, I believe that we're still in good shape.
Hey, Dwayne is the host for Tall, Dark, and Handsome. So first question, how tall do you have to be included in that? Because I'm hopeful here.
Well, it's a beautiful thing about radio. Because let me just say, without getting too personal.
How tall are you on radio? Let me just ask that question.
I am very tall.
Like
on
what?
the
Like
radio.
6'6", 6'8", 6'10"?
Oh no, we're pushing 7 foot.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
so
it's
I
a
don't
booming
qualify. Definitely not dark or handsome. All right.
On the radio, Shaquille O'Neal and I can be eye to eye.
I got a question for you about the falling oil prices and what that means for continued development in Nikiski and around on the Kenai Peninsula. Does that affect you guys much?
Well, it affects us in a couple of different ways. Number one, just like everywhere else in the state, gasoline prices are falling.
Yeah.
That's not always a bad thing. Across the state, heating oil prices are going down. You're not hearing nearly as much about that as you heard when they were going up. So there are a few benefits of that. At the statewide picture, it's a complete disaster. It's an unmitigated disaster at the statewide level because we have based everything we own on the two-pronged approach of oil production and oil prices, both of which are going the wrong direction.
Down in Nikiski, though, down in the Kenai, you guys are, at least the gas facilities there, they're not tied to any other market, so that essentially is locked in, and these low oil prices won't affect that. I know you guys are also producing oil as well down there. Do you think that the current oil production will fall off with the low oil prices? Say oil stayed at around 60, do you think that it would stop or fall off?
Yeah, great question, and I wish I could tell you that. It depends on who you ask and what answer you want to get. There are those that will say at low oil prices, exploration ramps up, and quite frankly, from an economy point of view, there's more money in oil exploration than there is in oil production. The state, of course, relies on oil production for its dollars. I attended a meeting last week where Alaska Oil and Gas Association suggested that this is going to last 4 to 6 months at the most before somebody in the Middle East says, okay, we're done, and prices will then come back up into at least the $80 range.
Wow.
So what answer do you want? That's because there's an economist out there that will give you any answer you want.
Yeah, the
to
one
that
I
question.
saw from the Resource Development Council was the lady from Scotiabank, and she said she expected that we've entered a new paradigm for oil and that there is more of it than we need. And now, what do you think about OPEC? Are they going to stick together in this? Or are they going to fall apart? A news story out of Drudge that says basically OPEC is going to keep producing even at $40 a barrel.
Well, they can. You get to a point where bajillions of dollars don't even matter anymore. What's their motivation behind it? I can't answer that, and that's way out of my pay grade.
Yeah, well, they're talking about trying to crush Russia and oil shale. Both of those plays they want to essentially undermine, which I don't know, it would take years in order to do that for the United States. Russia probably will go belly up here much, much faster, which will make the world a little dangerous. I got one last question for you. On the platform, didn't the state of Alaska directly invest or pay people back for bringing a platform up? I think the platform they brought up was from, I don't know, South Africa or something like that. But did we invest directly in that?
indirectly through the state's Alaska Industrial and Export Development Authority, ADA.
Yeah,
I think I have the acronym right. I have to tell you, that was part of a different bill for Cook Inlet called the Stampede Act, where we literally bribed people to come to Cook Inlet. I did not support that. I think that while there have been a few positives from that, what we did was we encouraged some underfunded companies to come to Cook Inlet that didn't really belong here because they couldn't make it, and they've left a kind of a sad trail. So a lot of shining star moments here in Cook Inlet. I don't consider that one of them, though.
Talking to Dwayne Bannock, who is the host of Tall, Dark, and Handsome every weekday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Is it KSRN?
Yes, KSRM, like Solid Rock Ministries.
The fishing down there, how's the tourism going? Is it? I know you kind of had a falling off there with the salmon and the quantity. What's going on with all that on the peninsula?
Fishing continues to be a hot topic, both from the commercial side.
Yeah.
Commercial fishing is in the traditional nets and boats. Then there's commercial fishing with guides.
Right.
Fishing, of course, is you and your buddies in a boat and having a good time. And then there's fishing with the dip nets. Certainly, every one of those aspects have challenges and successes. The mighty Kenai River King continues to be, I don't want to use the word endangered because that word's got a bit, but there are fewer and fewer of them, and that's having a negative effect on our traditional commercial net fishermen. But you know our friend Neil Freed from the state of Alaska, the guy who wears a cool bow tie all the time.
Yep.
When I met with him last week, he said that one of the positives of the low oil prices is low gasoline prices, and low gasoline prices mean a greater rise in tourism in Alaska.
Interesting.
And he's calling for one of the biggest tourism years in Alaska this coming season.
Good.
As long as the market stays up, as long as the stock market weathers it, and the market's up, I think, 200 points today.
Is it?
Yeah, which I was really surprised at.
Good.
Yeah.
My good friend Bob from Fresno, how's he doing?
He's doing great. He said to say good morning and Merry Christmas as well.
What's he doing?
Bob is back in the car business where he belongs, quite frankly.
What's the name of his dealership?
Everybody rides.
Everybody rides. And so where is it in Kenai or in Soldotna or in between? Or
thanks for the plug. It's on the corner of K Beach and Poppy, the big corner on K Beach Road. Little used car operation, specializing in can we say people that have difficulty getting finance.
And Bob helps them out.
Yes, he does.
That's great. Well, he's a favorite of ours and known him for a long time. He used to put on that. What was that golf tournament he put on every year? Kenai Classic.
Back in the day, the Kenai Classic, a very big deal with a pro-am.
It was fun, a lot of fun.
I got to cook for it. That's what I don't know how to golf, but I do know how to cook.
Dwayne, it's always a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise. Have Merry Christmas to you and everybody there. Thanks for letting us on today.
Absolutely, Dwayne. Thank you for your time. It's Dwayne Bannock, the host of Tall, Dark, and Handsome there on the Kenai Peninsula, weekday afternoons at 4 o'clock. 7:58. On the Kenai Peninsula, weekday afternoons at 4 o'clock. 7:58.
You know, after a hard day at work and then shopping for the holidays, the last thing you want to do is slave over a hot stove. Well, don't worry about it. Relief from this hectic time of year is just a jingle away. Call 333-8000 and ring in the holidays with the Sicily Season Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. So relax and let Sicily's deliver hot, fresh, delicious pizza, pasta, calzones, wings, and salads right to your door. It's fast, easy, and affordable. Call 333-8000 and ask for the Season's Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. For the only 24-hour-a-day delivery in Alaska, call 333-8000 or save 20% by ordering online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's. Wishing you and yours a safe and happy holiday season.
Listen online at 1080KOAN.com. Hot Talk 95.1 FM, 1080 AM, KOAN, Anchorage.
Lisa Brady. Officials in Pakistan now say 141 people were killed, mostly children, in a Taliban attack at a Pakistan school. Fox News Radio's Simon Owen monitoring this live from London.
Lisa, the Prime Minister here in London calling it a dark day for humanity. Pakistan's Prime Minister says it's a national tragedy. 132 children are dead, according to a Pakistani military spokesman, along with 9 adults. He's a teaching assistant at the school. He says 6 men climbed over the walls, then ran amok. The Pakistani Taliban quickly claiming responsibility. This is an army school. The militants calling it revenge after Pakistani government forces launched a crackdown against the group. Lisa.
Simon, thanks. The manhunt for a Marine veteran suspected of killing his ex-wife and 5 of her relatives in a child custody dispute has spread to 2 suburban Philadelphia counties. Some schools closed today, hospitals and other public places beefing up security.
We are accessing every possible resource, and we are utilizing every possible law enforcement tool to find Mr. Stone. We will find Mr. Stone.
The Montgomery County DA moments ago also emphasizing that as the manhunt and the homicide investigation continue, Bradley Stone's current wife and infant daughter are secure, along with the 2 young children he had with his ex-wife. And they're hopeful about the condition of the 17-year-old survivor of yesterday's killings. Fox News just confirming that an American Airlines flight overseas has been diverted because of severe turbulence. The flight bound from South Korea to Dallas landed in Tokyo instead. An emergency declared, ambulances on scene, no confirmation about injuries yet. More than 200 on board. Former Florida Governor Jeb Bush confirming in a social media post he will explore a run for president. He's forming a political action committee. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
And now, a Golf Miss Carol brought to you by Golfsmith.
On the 12th day of golf, Miss My Golfsmith gave to me 12 Pro V1s, 11 Under Armour's, 10 Golf Tech lessons, 9 Nike pants, 8 Bertha irons, 7 Golfsmith gift cards, 6 Garmin watches, 5 iron 2.
Come celebrate Golf Miss, happening right now only at Golfsmith.
2 Cleveland wedges and a tap-in birdie on a par 3.
Golfsmith, anything for golf.
This holiday season, a lot of jewelry stores are talking about value and quality, but talk is cheap. At Hellsberg Diamonds, we actually show you what real value and quality mean. With our remarkable asset device, you can see for yourself how and why a diamond sparkles the way it does. Join us as we celebrate 100 years of love with exceptional quality and extraordinary value. Hellsberg Diamonds, a Berkshire Hathaway company.
Showdown on immigration already planned in the new...
Best Split Firewood can deliver split firewood to your house today. And if you live in Anchorage, delivery is free. Wait, what did I just say? Delivery is free if you live in Anchorage. Wow, that's cool. Okay, back to the commercial. Best Split Firewood. Call now, 727-5928. That's 727-5928. And get 2 bundles of starter sticks with your order. Hold on, 2 bundles of starter sticks and free delivery in Anchorage? That's way cool. Best Split Firewood will deliver mostly all birch split and ready for your fireplace or wood stove, no matter how much you need. A quarter, half, or full cord. They have the best firewood in the city, and they'll even mix in some spruce if you ask for it. And don't worry if you just need a couple of bundles. Best Split Firewood has them wrapped and ready to go at half of what you would pay anywhere else in the city. Best Split Firewood. Call today for free delivery in Anchorage and 2 bundles of starter sticks. 727-5928. That's 727-5928.
Visit their new location at 2000 East 68th Avenue in Anchorage.
Hi, this is Jonathan Martin at Harrington & Company. Sellers, if you are going to sell your home, now may very well be the best time. The current interest rates are still very low in comparison to previous loan rates. Now is the time to take advantage of this uncommon phenomenon. We will look back at this period as a golden opportunity to buy or sell. Homeowners planning to sell should call us at 244-0821. We will be happy to come out and do a comparative market analysis at your convenience. Call Jonathan Martin at Harrington & Company, 244-0821. That's 244-0821.
When I grow up, I want to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor,
and President of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can go your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local country financial representative offers helpful advice on everything. From auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Why is A&A The Shop Alaska's independent Subaru specialist? How is it they've been voted the best shop in Anchorage not once but 6 times? Well, it's pretty simple. They offer the best warranty in the business. If they work on your Subaru, you're going to get a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on both parts and labor. That's unheard of. A&A The Shop deals exclusively with Subarus, and they also offer $35 oil changes. All their technicians are ASE certified. Call A&A The Shop for an appointment. 562-3919 in Anchorage and 696-2096 in Eagle River. You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call.
All right, it's 6 minutes past 8 o'clock. Fagan Biegel on KOAN, KVNT. We're streaming live video and audio, danfagan.us. Our telephone number, if you'd like to call in, 569-1080, 569-1080. We want to welcome to the broadcast State Representative Lynn Gaddis. Representative Gaddis, good to hear from you. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Dan. It's great to hear from you. I've been listening to your show for the last hour, and I admit I have choices in the morning, and sometimes I listen to the Brand X. So a great show, and didn't know you got a knee operation.
Oh, it wasn't me.
Sorry, it was Eddie that had a knee operation. I'm sorry.
Right. No,
I gave you a knee operation without your knowledge there.
That's okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Representative Gaddis, obviously we're looking at dramatic changes in the state and the budget and all those kind of things. I did want to ask you a question sort of behind the scenes that often, being on the appropriations committees or revenue, whatever, the committees that deal with spending, is going to be where a lot of the people's focus are. But when there's so much focus on those, there oftentimes are opportunities other places. Can you think of any places where we may see opportunities not necessarily in the budget committees for conservatives to get something good through?
Well, let me see if I understood that question. Here's what I think the opportunities are. So, I think that we may be on the same track. Fact being is, I have people say, golly, aren't you worried about being on the on finance? Isn't that going to be a problem? I said, no, it's a great opportunity for Alaska. It's a great opportunity for us to do things that either lack of courage, fear, possibly our constituents didn't understand at a time before. So that opportunity certainly is there to really cut the budget in places that we've grown way too big.
The only way that a legislature usually does do something is if essentially they're forced to it. Something hard.
It was an interesting. So I don't know that I can play freshman any longer. It's kind of like I tease people. After X amount of years of being a pilot, you can't call in and say student pilot landing. And they clear that. But seriously, I asked somebody who'd been around for a long time. I said, wow. Don't they see that? I mean, it's kind of a naive statement, but don't they see that we need to make these cuts and we need to do these? And they said they'll never cut the budget until they have to. And to me, that was hugely profound by somebody who'd been around for a long time. And I thought to myself, government doesn't work like business.
No. They're not forward-looking. They're rear-view mirror looking. They're just and they're trying to figure out. Look, they're average people trying to do an extraordinary job.
Absolutely. But I looked at folks and I thought, how many of you guys have made a payroll? How many of you guys have had to pivot? And I jokingly say, if you've got cows and there's no dairy industry, then pivot into a barbecue. But seriously.
Well, what's your sense of how many people actually have made a payroll? Because I call you Mrs. Alaska, by the way. People may not know that, but because you have done everything an Alaskan basically can do.
That would make me 100 years old. Thanks a lot, and I'm not that old. There are many folks like me that kind of thumb their nose at politics.
Yeah.
And I admit being one of those going, oh, are you kidding me? And then the other part says, you know what? You could have the opportunity to make a change for your state, for all of the other folks that are busy, blue-collar workers working. And those are the people that are looking at us and saying, you really have to. We remember how it was before oil. We remember when we paid an income tax. And, there's certainly some folks that liked Alaska before it was, but we are committed. We have a state that is a resource development state, and we are committed to that. We have a very expensive pipeline. We're committed to resource development, and it doesn't discount tourism or fishing or anything like that, but
those don't
we're
pay
very
the bills.
different. Yep, there you go.
Well,
And,
I'm hoping you can walk me through best case and worst case scenarios, sort of for Alaska, maybe 2 years out, and then maybe 5 years out.
Well, I certainly
and
don't
what
have a
would
crystal
cause a
ball.
best case? Well, let's start
Well-
first of all. What do you think would lead to the best case scenario? What in your mind would lead to a worst case scenario?
Well, what would lead to a best case scenario is for government to stop thinking that they can incentivize, quite frankly, is what I call bad behavior. Business doesn't mind being directed with let's talk about oil companies behavior, but it has to be sustainable. They have to be able to make it on their own. We cannot keep propping them up thinking that that's the route to go. I think that we're in the right direction as far as SB 21 and our tax issues. I think in a perfect world, oil prices go up. Of course, in my business, that's a bad thing. I mean, I'm trying to think about, shall I hoard diesel for next summer for farming? Because, of the price of diesel certainly hasn't gone down in that regard. But so there's, it's a double-edged sword. I'm glad that it's down in the winter time so that our folks at least can have cheaper prices. But remember, folks in the bush, they already ordered their fuel at the higher rates. So in a perfect world, we would oil prices would go up. Again, that's a double-edged sword because in a perfect world, we wouldn't be able to do the job that we need to do, and that is cut government, direct it towards what we really want to direct it towards, and be able to get on a straight and even path again.
Well, it sounds like you're
talking to State Representative Glen Gaddis.
You kind of mix together both the good and the bad scenarios because if it's good for the state of Alaska, sometimes it's bad for the people. But I think we both recognize that this is not just an opportunity for people who want limited government, but it really is a calling, and now it's a requirement for people to basically listen to you and figure out we don't have as much money as we want. We got to act like a business. We're going to need to reduce what we do, how we do it. We're going to have to get smarter.
Well, and I think the last comment was probably the most profound. We have to get smarter. And I know that there are some folks that want to cut the budget right across the board. And I said, that is not how business would do. And I'll just use my farm, for instance. I can't cut diesel. I can't cut fertilizer. If I cut that, I'm not growing. I'm not yielding the product that I'm looking for. So I'm going to look at other cuts that don't reduce the yield or the money. So, I heard people talking about Ambler. I heard people talking about other projects. And quite frankly, we have to invest in the projects that make us money.
Like the Kinnick Arm Bridge?
I've been a pro Kinnick Arm Bridge probably for the last 45 years. I can remember a mayor of the Mat-Su Borough talking about it when I worked for Flying Tigers in Anchorage probably 35 years ago. And I said, that is exactly, that is what needs to happen. Not only can families afford inexpensive places, but it's to live. And there are some great opportunities out there. So certainly that is in the Mat-Su. And even though I represent the greater Wasilla area, folks that come to Wasilla, they got to live somewhere.
Talking to State Representative Glen Gaddis, 569-1080 is our number. We'll continue with State Representative Gaddis right after this. Time currently 8:14. Continue with State Representative Gaddis right after this. Time currently 8:14.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. Give them a call. 569-1080. KOAN.
There's a part of our world that we pay little attention to. Here, an ant drags a seed 5 times its own size, and a bee sips from a drop of dew. And down here, toxic chemicals and carcinogens are leaching into our environment. They come from objects that we look past every day. Littered cigarette butts. Let's stop the toxic litter. Learn more at rethinkbutts.org. Brought to you by Legacy and Leave No Trace.
Someone once said that too much nostalgia about the good old days is really just a sign of poor memory. Yeah, probably true, but one thing I sure miss from back then is cheap oil and cheap gas. These days, every time I fill her up or even turn on the thermostat, I can almost feel my wallet getting thinner. Well, there's not much we can do about the price of oil and gas, but some folks say we could save a lot of money by using Alaska's coal to generate our electricity. That just makes good sense to me. We've got enough coal in Alaska to keep the lights on for hundreds of years, and it costs a whole lot less than oil or natural gas. Even better, clean coal technology allows us to keep our air and water clean, and that's good news for our environment. Yep, power from coal. It's abundant, it's affordable, and it's clean. Now that's a smart energy choice.
We're the people of Usabelli Coal Mine, helping energize a brighter future for Alaska.
Hey, if you think all you need to know about beer is how to pop the top off the can, go to worldclassbeer.com. There's a whole world of beer out there, and worldclassbeer.com can help you navigate it. Learn the difference between an ale and a lager at Beer U. Get descriptions of all the craft beers and learn why they're so different. And when you see one you'd like to try, the Beer Spy Locator can direct you to the closest store. Worldclassbeer.com, designed to help you get closer to your beer. Brought to you by the Odom Corporation. Always drink responsibly.
Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080KOAN.com.
$8:17 in the morning. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, KOAN, KVNT. We're also streaming live video and audio. danfagan.us. You can go watch the show anytime during the day at danfagan.us, both video and audio. Our number 569-1080. Our good friend Mike Daniels and his team at Country Financial. Boy, these are some interesting times. You know, the stock market, what was it? Took a beating last week. Had a rough day yesterday. Now, what is it today? It's up 150 points. So many questions out there if you're trying to maximize your earnings. And that's what Mike Daniels and his Country Financial representatives can do for you. Not just stock market related. That's obviously a big part of what they do. But just financial planning. So much that they know that you need to know. And you sit down with them, you're going to realize right off the bat, well, these people know their stuff. And that's why Country Financial is one of the most successful financial planning companies in the country. And frankly, here in Alaska, they have 13 locations. So Alaskans have grown to trust them. Go see our good friend Mike Daniels at Country Financial. His number to make an appointment, 866-COUNTRY, 866-COUNTRY, Mike Daniels, Country Financial. Our number again, 569-1080. We're talking to Lynn Gaddis, state representative out in the Valley. I was surprised to read this weekend, or maybe it was yesterday, Representative Gaddis, that Bill Walker did not cover a single district in the Valley.
They didn't carry.
Well, it didn't. Did you know that?
Well, I did know that.
Yep.
I did know that. And in full disclosure, I was a Bill Walker person before he went against SB 21.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be straight up front, until he married up with the current lieutenant governor. I struggle with that. I think that the Mat-Su struggled with that. And I think the bigger thing, I think the Mat-Su looked at SB 21 and oil taxes, and they essentially got it. If you'll look, I believe it was the Mat-Su that carried that particular referendum.
Yeah, you guys voted like 65-35 or 70-30 for it.
So, and even though I suspect it may have lost me some personal votes, I was very proud to speak to that. I certainly voted for it in the House, but I think that the more you tax a business, and there is a sweet spot, I won't disagree, but the more you tax a business, the more you can run them to somewhere else where they'll do business better. And so we have to be, we have to give business some sense of certainty that we're not going to skip all over the board. And I think I think not only did it pass in both the Senate and the House, but I think that it passed in the referendum. I think business has that sense of certainty. I also think that many folks agreed with where Sean Parnell was going. We're halfway across the stream, and that's how I explained it when I went door to door. I did not think it was time to turn that horse around. Now,
you talking about on the tax issue or the gas line?
I'm talking about some of the things that we were going forward in, and certainly the gas line. The gas line's always been real huge in the Matsu. And I still think it is. I think it's something that the folks get there in regards to the gas line. They hope that we will choose the best spot for it to go through. Certainly given a choice, and if the best spot is the Matsu, I would choose it. But really, it's really what's best for Alaskans.
Representative Gaddis, I got a question for you. Is there any possibility that just for monetary reasons that we could get education reform?
Well, with less money, we have great opportunity. So in answer to your question, I think there is. I think there's a lot of folks that are fearful, and I'll be square. I mean, I'm looking at those Great Alaska student folks that were very, very vocal. They got the money, and they have more. Now I look at Anchorage School District trying to figure out what they're going to do with the money. That's embarrassing. It should be embarrassing to the legislature, and it certainly should be embarrassing to the Anchorage School District.
Well, I love Representative Gaddis, Glen's approach to this, because I've not heard this before. It's so many things with Glen, you learn stuff that you never learned before. But, I've always looked at school choice as it's going to be good for the student. I've never thought of it in fiscal terms as far as saving money. And Glen, if you could just one more time explain to us how that fully enacted the school choice program is a lot cheaper than what we're doing now.
Sure. I would say that we could save 30 to 40% on the cost of educating a child. My children are actually educated for about a third of the cost of the average student here in the Anchorage School District. And that's at a really tiny school with like 8 to 12 people in a classroom. I mean, you're talking about dramatically different. The cost structures just do not match at all. So, I mean, if you had a 400 or 500 person private school, you could be looking easily at a third of the cost rather than the full burden cost. No, you're not going to save all that money, but I'd be willing to bet you that you could easily educate a good, most of the kids in the state for a third to a half, with the total savings of 30 to 40%, which is significant. We're talking about $400 million probably.
Sure. And if you, again, I guess that's we're incentivizing good behavior. So, if we go to education and you look at the system that we set up, they're doing what they're supposed to do within the system.
Do we know where Governor Walker is on school choice?
I don't, and I have reached out to him.
Well, he's said that he's not for vouchers, but he's for different alternatives inside the public education system.
Charter schools.
Right. And, the problem is that monopolies cannot mirror the private sector. They just simply will take as much money as you'll give them. They'll always ask for more. They do not try and innovate, and they don't try to respond to market forces. Perfect example, Aquarian Charter School, a charter school of about 500, has 600 people on the waiting list. They got more people on the waiting list than fit in the whole school. It's ridiculous, and the Anchorage School District is not doing anything about it. So, and they don't have to because they have a monopoly.
Right.
How do we fix that, Representative Gaddis?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. I don't believe, and I've been a big proponent that working within this present system is going to fix it. We'll make little tweaks and little things, and as there is more money, folks will add more money back in. And, we have a long history of doing the same thing, expecting different results. So, people are like, oh my goodness, she's this. But I really think we have to make a huge shift. And I think one of those is to add competition into it. And even if we do it in small pieces of the pie, when we allow, I've been a big proponent for charter schools, because even though we have vanilla, they're a very slight different flavor. They're French vanilla, but they are slightly different. Mm-hmm. Personally, I had a bill the last couple of years that allowed charter schools to get out from underneath any school district and have multiple authorizers, have native corporations, have even the city of Anchorage. Mayor Dan was a big education person, so that they could charter those schools. So, it doesn't have to be within the system that's huge and lumbering and very difficult to change.
That's a great plan, by the way. That really does make a difference, and it's a
it flopped hugely because folks just could not see. I had folks on my committee that don't believe in charter schools. Absolutely not. Teachers know better than parents, and it's just that's a huge difference in philosophy.
Yeah.
So right now I'll admit that I have there's a charter school in my district, and they're under the Waldorf charter school method. Mm-hmm. They don't expose their students to reading until 7. So you come in there as a kindergartner, and we have a state law that says you have to be tested for literacy. Well, the parents are all up in arms. They've written notes to the school, don't test my kid. Guess what? We haven't exposed them to that. It's a moot point. We know where our kid is. The state is demanding to test their kids. The parents are livid. And the parents are livid not because their kids are going to be tested and will fail that literacy test, which they know, but it's more that you've taken our choice as a parent away from us. Mm. So it's those simple little things that really get folks going. And we have to start letting parents, we gripe on one end that parents aren't involved, and the other end, we don't let them be involved.
Talking to State Representative Glen, we just have a minute or two left. The Valley is clearly the most conservative area of the state. How did Jim Culver get elected?
He is a colleague of mine, and I'm going to work with him in the Valley delegation. And I didn't follow his campaigning. Yeah, I'm doing the political dance. I have no idea. It was a three-way. And you know what? He will show whether he is part of the Valley delegation and he's or not within the next 2 years. So we'll watch.
I love that you caught yourself in the middle of I'm doing a political dance.
That was great. Hey, Lynn, Representative Ganis, I do have a question for you, and that is, as it gets harder to legislate and,
about 30 seconds.
The money really does go away, is this crisis going to bring the executive and legislative branches together or drive them apart?
I'm going to go for it. It's going to bring us together.
Good. I hope.
I think so.
Yeah, crisis can unite, as Glenn said.
Yeah, and I think so.
Lynn Gaddis, State Representative, Sioux Valley, thanks so much. Appreciate your help and time today.
Thanks for having me on. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for calling and being a part of our broadcast. Our number 569-1080, 569-1080. Listen to Fagan Biegel in the morning on KOAN, KVNT. We're streaming live on danfagan.us, both video and audio. You can actually listen to the show, watch the show anytime during the day. We podcast the show every day on danfagan.us. And you're welcome to avail yourself of that just in case you hear part of the show and you wonder what the rest of the segment was like. You got to get out of your car and go to your place of employment. We're here every Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. We'll take a quick break. The time currently 8:29. Stay with us, folks. Be right back. Break. The time currently 8:29. Stay with us, folks. Be right back.
Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
Local news brought to you by Jansen Funeral Homes, Jansen's Evergreen Memorial Chapel, Jansen's Alaska Cremation Center, and Jansen's Eagle River Funeral Home. Jansen Funeral Homes, where just like family, they're there when you need them.
With KOAN News, I'm Chuck White. Anchorage police investigating the death of a homeless woman near a shelter this weekend. No previous medical conditions, no sign of injury, and she apparently was not a drug user. As Ann Kenda reports, Medicaid expansion could be months away here in Alaska.
Talks are underway about expanding Medicaid, but health officials say it'll be at least July before the state will be able to start enrolling more people. Issues to be worked out include a Medicaid eligibility system and a Medicaid payment system that has had problems ever since it went live in 2013. Expanded Medicaid in Alaska was a campaign platform of new Governor Bill Walker.
The Anchorage Assembly is slated to take testimony today on a measure to ban commercial marijuana businesses in the city. Voters recently decided to make marijuana legal, but communities still have the option of banning hot businesses. Advocates say people would have to grow it themselves. That's your Hot Talk News update.
Intervals of clouds and sunshine today with a snow shower, high at 33. Then a little snow during the evening, which will accumulate a coating to an inch. Otherwise, it will remain rather cloudy through the night with a low 25. And for tomorrow, partial sunshine, high 28, and a low tomorrow night of 18. Partial sunshine Thursday with a flurry, high 26. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN, 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Happy holidays from your family at Worthington Ford. We wish you and yours all of the health and happiness in the world. Please be safe this holiday season, like Grandpa always said.
Hey, if you drive, don't drink. If you drink, don't drive. We love you.
Sanjay Gupta.
People often credit a sluggish metabolism as the reason for weight gain. Enough with those excuses. I got some tips today to help you rev it up. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent. Metabolism converts food and drink into energy to fuel the body. As we age, our metabolism tends to slow down because the body begins to replace lean body mass with fat mass, and muscle burns more calories than fat. So if you build more muscle mass, you'll naturally speed up your metabolism. That means you can burn more calories and eat the same food. Also, if you can fit in just one 45-minute cardio workout a week, your metabolism will continue to burn 14 hours after you exercised. And make sure you're getting enough protein. Research shows that people who take in adequate levels of protein will also burn more calories. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
This is a special alert to consumers who owe back taxes to the IRS.
Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing during the decline in the U.S. economy, the Internal Revenue Service is now accepting reduced settlements from consumers on back taxes, resulting in back taxes reduced by thousands of dollars. An open phone line has been established by Federal Tax Relief for consumers to call and see if you qualify for this reduction to ensure your financial stability during this decline in the economy. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call 1-800-237-2199. That's 1-800-237-2199. If you owe back taxes to the IRS, there is no need to fear anymore. The IRS is now accepting reduced settlements from consumers, resulting in tax debts reduced by thousands of dollars. For your free information and to see if you qualify for your reduction, call the Federal Tax Relief Hotline, 1-800-237-2199. 1-800-237-2199. That's 1-800-237-2199.
When I grow up, I want to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can go your own way.
We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything, from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Glen Biegel, you have beautiful teeth.
Why, thank you, Dan Fagan. That's because my family and I have gone to Dr. Dan Kiley for years.
I get scared at the dentist.
Dr. Kiley knows people like you are afraid, so he creates a relaxed atmosphere at his office. People actually like going to the dentist with Dr. Kiley.
I know it's important to have good dental health.
And you look better with good teeth. And Dr. Kiley offers cosmetic dentistry along with general care.
Visit Dr. Dan Kiley at lakeotisdental.com. Call him at 562-9209.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 92.5 FM, 1020 AM.
8:35 here on the Fagan Biegel in the morning broadcast on KOAN KVNT. Our number 569-1080. I wonder, Glenn, you got how many kids? 11, 10,
Something
9.
like that. I think
9 kids.
2,000.
No. So you have 9 kids.
9 children.
I wonder we should do that. We should figure out what you could make. If let's say you just wanted to stay home and play Xbox all day with your 9 kids, what you would make in benefits.
Well, let's just start with the fact that I don't send any of them to public school.
Yep.
If I sent them to public school, I would cost the rest of the taxpayers just right off the bat around $150,000.
Well, that's 17,000 times 9.
Well, they're not all in elementary, or they're not all in the ASD ages. So there's a 1-year-old and there's a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old.
Okay.
So
well, you would have.
Yeah.
So
no, over their lifetime, it costs like $240,000 to educate somebody in the Anchorage School District these days.
Now, is that 17 times 12?
I think it's 12 times 18, something like that.
Oh, okay. Okay, so how much is it?
Well, let's see. It'd be 216,000.
So and you don't right now. It doesn't cost the taxpayer a penny to educate your kids.
Well, sometimes we're in the statewide charter schools, which I think are like $2,000 per child.
Okay, so
it's very minimal.
So the turnaround. So this is the school choice thing that just blows me away.
Yeah.
So if you were to take all those kids who now cost the state hardly anything, and then you put them all on the state dime.
Immediately people would have to put up another $150,000 in order to support.
And I wonder if that 17,000 per student includes all the free lunches.
And I'm sure we could get on free lunches.
Oh,
and,
sure.
Free breakfast.
So if you didn't work,
Uber rides,
you'd get a big welfare check because it's per kid, right?
I'd probably have to divorce my wife.
Oh yeah, you couldn't be married.
Yeah, so
you have to follow the rules.
You don't want people doing the right thing.
Well, you can still live together. Nobody would know you're divorced.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You fake divorce, and then you get all the benefits. I mean,
who knows?
You probably have to sell your house and rent.
Yeah,
because the government would pay for your rent.
Yes.
You probably. I don't imagine the government would pay your mortgage.
If I took drugs and I could snort my house in the value of
disability,
drugs, so that'd take a couple of years.
If you were moody,
if I was moody, you
could get Social Security disability payments.
This sounds pretty good.
If you could convince
you get an Obama phone.
You have to convince whoever it is you convince that all your kids are disabled. They're all special needs.
They're all special needs.
Right. That is
not all that hard to do with the reading disabilities that a lot of people claim these days.
That's right. So I wonder how much you could get.
Yeah. Our entire society, by the way, depends on me not doing that.
Yes.
The entirety of our social structure depends on a whole bunch of people against their own personal gain, doing the right thing.
Yes. What was that millennial?
Dredge has that 13.5 million millennials currently live in poverty. 46 million.
And millennials
Americans,
are what, 18 to 25 or something like that?
Yeah, that'd be 18 to 25-year-olds.
Okay.
Essentially, they're out of the house, but they're still living in poverty.
1 in 5. It's 18 to 34 years old.
Okay. And 65% of children, this is proof, by the way, that we are paying people to have children out of wedlock and against their own interests. 65% of children live in households on federal aid programs. So I just want to lay at the feet of Democrats, if I may. This is your problem.
Creation.
This is not my problem.
No.
This is not decent conservatives' problem. It simply is 100% your problem. It's your fault. Okay? So don't get on your high horse and tell me how evil conservatives are. I'm going to read you the statistic again so that you can understand how bad left-wingers are. 65% of children live in households on federal aid programs. Don't you get that? Is that some kind of vision of America that I may have missed our founding fathers were laying down? I don't think so. It's your vision of America. You stole from us our grandparents. You stole from us our charity. And this is the result. The result is all these people exercising their federal constitutional right to take what other people earned. That's your country. And the Democrats should be, well, frankly, they should stand up and cheer, because this is the brilliant move that they made 30 or 40 years ago in the war on poverty.
And you know what, Glenn? I'm gonna cut right to the bone. Everything you just said is absolutely true. But I'm gonna add something to it. And it's gonna make leftists cringe, but it is absolutely true. This leftism that created this problem that Glenn just described was done out of selfish, self-gratification motives. Deep inside of them, they knew.
They understand human nature well enough.
They're elitist, they're better than us, and they're going to take over and take away our freedom because they don't trust us.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a pure motive.
And make life better. I just want to lay down, by the way, that if somebody's on a federal program and eating well, it's worse for them and their family than if they're not on a federal program, but they still eat but don't eat as well. I want to lay that down. That is what a conservative believes. That is what our founding fathers believes. That is what human nature believes. Because you know what happens? As you eat macaroni and cheese and ramen and things like that throughout your childhood, you know what you figure out? I better get myself an education. I better make sure that I don't get pregnant out of wedlock. I better make sure that I don't take drugs. I better make sure that I stop drinking, and I don't want to emulate the bad behaviors because I want a better life. That's what you learn. And if you don't learn that, if you learn, well, look, you know, my mom doesn't work at all. I get to sit around the house all day and play video games, and frankly, we eat just fine. You know, what difference does it make whether we did the right thing or the wrong thing? I mean, think of the lessons that the Democrats are teaching these people.
And those of you who are on the left, who believe you are smarter than the rest of us, who believe that we can't be trusted, shame on you. Shame on you for elevating yourself to such a position where you think you're better than the rest of us. That is not noble. That is not honorable. And you've convinced yourself it is. It's not. I'm here to tell you, it's not. You're not better than everyone else. You may think you're more knowledgeable and more intelligent and hyper-intellectual, and the rest of us are, as Gruber said, stupid. Though we're not. We're not stupid. We can handle life just fine. We'll make mistakes, but we'll learn from those mistakes.
So this is what the leftists would say. They're yelling this at their radio right now. So you want people to starve? They simply will not listen to what I'm saying.
No, can't.
They cannot hear what I'm about to say
cannot
because it destroys everything about them.
That's right.
Listen to me, left-winger. We give out of charity. And the relationship between the person who looks you in the eye and says, here's food. Take it because I know you need it. And the relationship and the difference in that relationship between that person, those two people, one who gave charity to another and looked him in the eye, and the bureaucrat who gave somebody a credit card and said, here you go, exercise your constitutional right, and if you have another child, we'll give you more. The difference between those two things is the difference between freedom and slavery. It's the difference between night and day, goodness and evil. That's the difference I'm talking about. And I know you can't hear me. And I know you're still yelling at your radio. You want people to starve. You want people to starve. Because if you did hear what I just said, you would realize how wrong you are. And what a different country you've designed than the one that our founders dreamed up, than the experiment in liberty and freedom that we had, and the basic foundation of it in the goodness of humanity. And a decent people who wanted to live free of government.
844.
And a decent people who wanted to live free of government.
844.
Don't just sit there. Give them a call. 569-1080. Join the conversation. KOAN.
You know, after a hard day at work and then shopping for the holidays, the last thing you want to do is slave over a hot stove. Well, don't worry about it. Relief from this hectic time of year is just a jingle away. Call 333-8000 and ring in the holidays with the Sicily Season Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. So relax and let Sicily's deliver hot, fresh, delicious pizza, pasta, calzones, wings, and salads right to your door. It's fast, easy, and affordable. Call 333-8000 and ask for the Season's Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. For the only 24-hour-a-day delivery in Alaska, call 333-8000 or save 20% by ordering online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's. Wishing you and yours a safe and happy holiday season.
This is Dr. Ellenberg. Are you tired of taking medications? Your medications create more side effects than solutions. Do you want more than 15 minutes with your doctor? If you answer yes to those questions, you should consider calling the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine. At our center, we take the time to listen and focus on finding the cause of your health problems. Whether you have a cold, high blood pressure, diabetes, or cancer, we can help. Call the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine at 563-2366 or visit us online at drellenberg.com. We can help.
I can't wait to give you your gift.
Me too. And I don't want to brag, but it's perfect. Like 4 million pixels perfect.
You got me a Samsung Galaxy Tab S? I thought we had a price limit.
It was on sale. I'm sure your gift is great too. It's not like you got me a candle or something.
Me?
Nah. Get $50 off the 10.5-inch Samsung Galaxy Tab S at your local Best Buy today. Connected tablets not included. Offer valid December 14th through December 20th. Other restrictions may apply. See participating stores for details while supplies last.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call. 569.
$8:47, Fagan Biegel in the morning, KOAN, KVNT. You know, I watched the entire show Friday on danfagan.us.
Yeah?
And I thought Brian had lost his mind. Because I'm watching
I often think that.
I'm watching the show, and they go to a break. You go to a break, and you say you'll be right back.
Uh-huh.
And I look at my computer, and it says 9 o'clock. And I look at the wall clock, it says 9 o'clock. I look at my cell phone, it's 9 o'clock. So what are they? Were they going long today? Did Brian forget the show ended? And then you go to a break, and then you come back on, and it's like 9:05 now. I'm like, what are they doing? They're just gonna go all day? Well, it turns out there was a delay in the danfagan.us, and I almost called. I was like, what are you guys doing? And then I realized that there was just a delay there.
Okay.
Apparently, if you watch the thing for 3 hours, which I did. By the way, I thought it was a really good show. There's a delay that kicks in.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more you watch, is that how that works?
Yeah, but I have gone crazy, just so you know.
And I got in trouble on Friday for something I said, I think.
What'd you say?
Something about the Tea Party, and it just...
What'd you say?
I said that, to me, the extremism that some Tea Party members require of their candidates...
Yes.
That they basically
must lose.
Yeah, basically
that was so good.
The only way that you can convince them that you're conservative enough is if you could never win an election.
That was so good.
You know, but I got people mad, and frankly, I did want to, and I made a correction, and I'll make another one here. We put forward much better candidates this time. The candidates that conservatives and Tea Party people put forward across the country were outstanding.
Yeah.
And if the Tea Party guy had beat Pat Robertson, obviously they would have gone on to win the election. Yeah. They were a much better candidate than Pat Robertson, but they just couldn't beat the establishment candidate. Right. I mean, they lost to him just by a point or two in the primary. But anyway, so I just wanted to say that if you're so convinced that you're right, that you require people to do things which will prevent them from getting elected. 17th Amendment stuff is a perfect example.
Joe Miller.
We're never going to repeal the 17th Amendment. If we ever are going to happen, it's not going to happen because one senator says, well, this is really what we ought to do.
Right.
It's going to come from the people. It's going to be a natural uprising. But requiring a person to say what you want them to say and what you want to hear can prevent them from getting elected, ergo Joe Miller. That was essentially one of the things that the media used against him.
And it doesn't mean that you're not a person of your convictions. You just understand reality. Now, I disagree with Sean Parnell and Dan Sullivan embracing the minimum wage. I don't think you have to go that far, right? I think Dan Sullivan ran the Picture Perfect campaign, and he was very disciplined. I don't think he had to pretend like he was for the minimum wage. My guess, he really isn't.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Well, my guess is they believe that a small increases in the minimum wage, which essentially follows CPI, don't really have that much of an impact
Consumer
on
price index,
employment and so on and so forth. There's an opportunity for people to go discuss marijuana with the Assembly tonight. Amy Domboski, bravely.
I think she's on the show tomorrow.
Yeah, well, so they're going to discuss it tonight as to whether or not, look, the law gives us the right to say we don't want marijuana dispensaries on every corner.
Right.
And so she says, okay, well, that's what the law says. I don't want marijuana dispensaries on every corner. So, ergo, if you want to go buy marijuana, go out to Houston.
Yep.
Go out to Wasilla.
Right.
So that doesn't seem that irrational to me.
Well, it alleviates many of my fears this initiative might have brought. To know that each individual municipality or borough or whatever can stand up to this stuff.
And this is what they told us when they were trying to pass it, by the way, why people should not freak out, because you still have the ability to regulate it.
Of course, no, they're now criticizing.
Now they're criticizing, and Bruce Schulte has come out and said, oh, my gosh, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What's his deal, man? Is he a big pothead or something? Or
I don't know. I really don't know. I think there are a lot of people out there who just want to pull the pin out of the hand grenade of society and just see what freaking happens. I don't know. You know what I mean? I mean, and that obviously, the more drug use you're going to have, the more dependency you're going to have, the less productivity you're going to have, the harder it is for our country to rise up above all the other countries that we're competing against. I don't know. So I literally don't know. I think a lot of people, essentially, they say, well, look, liberty is me doing what I want. I don't really care what happens to society, and that's as far as a lot of people get. I saw this Sydney. You remember they had the hold up at the Sydney Cafe?
Terrible.
Yeah, they ended up killing a couple of the hostages as they killed the gunman who. But one of the things that came out of it was Uber was, people were taking Uber rides to get down and see the action, basically, and Uber started to raise their prices.
Oh my goodness.
And this is what occurred to me, by the way, as I was reading that.
Yeah.
Uber gives the media an opportunity to somebody to attack, because I'm sure taxi cabs would have done the same thing. Taxi cab drivers wouldn't have wanted to go downtown, and they probably did exactly the same thing. But they can attack Uber, and they can't attack the taxi cab industry.
Well, I think in Uber's defense, it works like on an algorithm. So when a lot of concentration comes,
built in.
Yeah, but what they did in return, though, was they refunded those people's money and ended up giving people free rides.
Wow.
Through that yesterday.
Which is something you would never get from a taxi company.
Yeah, the cab wouldn't come back and give you your money.
Exactly. So what you got was the media can attack something like Uber. Uber can respond, and then the people get free rides, which is something you would have never had any of that just for the taxi industry.
569-1080, 569-1080. Jim, you're on.
Oh, yeah, it's just about the marijuana thing. I just wanted to, remind everybody that there's a film from Colorado Medical Association. They're talking about how everybody's talking about the attributes or the advantages of marijuana, either in taxes or even medical use. But the reality is they lose the money because of more problems with it. It doesn't really, THC really isn't prevent convulsions or fits or whatever in children.
It doesn't have the medical benefits that the marijuana. Are you going to go down and testify today?
Me, myself, no.
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of marijuana people down there, and that most decent people like you and I are not going to go down.
Well, the thing is everybody's talking about everything except for the damage it does.
Yeah.
It's a psychotropic, and it does damage to the brain, and it does prevent people from. It retrains them, and it prevents them from, I think, from exploring further. I don't think the brain grows. I think it quits growing. Its ability to They talk about the section of the brain and how the THC affects the brain, and no one talks about that, and it's too bad. They should probably talk more about what it does, the harm it does, than the good it does, and there's plenty of harm.
My brain hasn't grown in years, Jim.
Yeah, I know, but we have to force ourselves to go forward, and it's real easy when you use any kind of anything that dulls your senses, even alcohol, but this psychotropic's much worse. It's much worse.
Well, Jim, I appreciate the phone call. Thank you so much. 569-1080, 569-1080. James.
Yeah.
Hello, James.
How's it going?
Good.
I was just listening to the radio, and one of you guys said something about most decent people aren't going to go down there. I guess it's his opinion, but the fact that I don't smoke weed myself, but if you do, it doesn't mean that you're indecent. And there's plenty of people that die off of cigarettes and alcohol, and they don't do anything about that. And when it comes down to it, it's basically it comes down to money. It's greed. Anything that a person is allowed to do, from popping pills. They sold Oxycontins for years and made billions of dollars off of it, and now it's touched every end of the world, from poverty to rich people, and people are getting addicted off of synthetic heroin is basically what it is.
Well, James, this is what I meant when I said that, and I agree with you. People who smoke marijuana are not indecent people. The people who I do consider indecent are people who are going to go down and testify and say that we should not be allowed to regulate these marijuana grow shops out of our town. I think that's an indecent position.
Well, they don't regulate. I mean, when you say regulate, now when I went down there and voted, I saw on the initiative that weed would be regulated like alcohol.
Well, which they can't do because alcohol has a certain proof, a certain strength. So they can't literally regulate weed like alcohol. But what a town does have the right to do is to say, we don't want any dispensaries in our town. And I think that's a very decent position for people to take. If you want it, go down to Girdwood, go out to, wherever. You're going to have to get it somewhere else. And I think that's a decent position. And I think people who argue that it should be shoved in our faces and the faces of our children and become, a much greater part of the fabric of our society, I think that's an indecent position. But I agree with you that the people who use marijuana are not indecent people.
Right, but you say shoved in our faces. Our kids watch things on TV that are indecent every day.
Sure.
But for some reason, that, we overlook that from...
Well, I don't overlook that. Not at all. No. Good parents, James, will make sure that their children do not participate in society in that way. So I think that's a great point, too.
Yeah. Okay. All right, man.
Thank you, James. Appreciate the call. Yeah, well, I think Amy is on our show tomorrow, so she'll give us an update at the assembly, what happened and what was talked
the
about.
pro pot people will be out in force. Will any of the average people got to raise children, be there? I don't know.
Typically not.
Typically not.
That's it. That's our show. Fagan, Biegel in the morning. KOAN, KVNT. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Have a great Tuesday. In the morning. KOAN, KVNT. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 a.m.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Be sure to catch them every weekday morning from 6 to 9 a.m. on Hot Talk KOAN 95.1 FM, 1080 a.m. and online at 1080koan.com.
If you're ready for the movies, there's just one place to go. Check out moviesacre.com. It's showtime, movie times, previews, and more. Get tickets, win stuff, lots of information to explore. Great restaurants. Now you'll know just where to go before and after every show. Check out moviesacre.com. It's showtime.
Hot talk all day. Hot talk every day. 95.1 FM, 1080 AM, KOAN.